E1 Lake Como GP presented by Wyatt d'Este, with 10 teams all fighting in the title in the all-electric powerboat racing. Looking forward to all the action, and alongside me is a former E1 pilot, Anna Glennon, who raced very competitively from the first season in 2024 and is going to give us all the information we need, watching the pilots that she raced against and many of the teams she competed against too. So let's take a look at qualifying. Anna, I wanted to bring you in on this because we've been enjoying the first part of qualifying, of course, and Alula have done a fantastic job making sure they're through. But two teams, of course, have been eliminated at this stage, teams Monaco and Team Rafa. So they'll be a bit low, but of course they'll go into racing tomorrow.
Yeah, you know, we definitely saw some major upsets this morning, especially for Team Rafa, who is consistently one of the fastest qualifiers. They're usually the team that all the other teams are watching during qualifying. So definitely a major upset, but it's not to say they can't come back tomorrow swinging.
Absolutely right. No, when we get into racing, it could be a very different story. But Team Alula with that very impressive fastest overall pace from Drogba, Westbrook in third, Miami in fourth, and Blue Rising in fifth, ahead of Sierra, Brady and Aoki. And what a gorgeous place this is. This is Lake Como, and you have raced here in the past, and the venue, it is delightful, absolutely. It's a long, long lake, but of course they don't have to go all the way up to the top of the lake and back. That would take forever.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the most picturesque locations that we have, but the tricky part is the water conditions, which we definitely saw this morning as we had some fast times and then things got rougher as the day went on.
Well, let's take a look at the layout of the course here, the race course, and this is what they will continue to be qualifying on today before we get into the racing tomorrow. Just tell me, which are the most challenging parts of this course?
Yeah, so as we saw in qualifying, the straightaways really seem to be what's tripping up the teams here. So coming across the starting line in qualifying is getting a lot of the boats upset as they're running parallel with the waves, and then also on the back side of the track as well. So things are getting a little bit tricky with the water conditions, but the teams that were doing well were the ones that were the most stable.
Well, we shall see how it all comes together once we get into it all, and everybody now is building up for the next stage of qualifying, of course. And we had the first qualifying earlier today where both of the racers were basically adding their times together, and then it would be split to decide which teams would be going through to this next stage. But now it's up to the teams to decide which pilot will do which session effectively, and you've still got to be in that top group. So we're in the top 8 at the moment, then you want to get into the top 6, and then we will ultimately have the top 4 fighting for pole effectively, which will score 3 points.
Yeah, the strategy here, if I were to give it my best guess, is to put the faster of the two pilots in there now and really hone in on their qualifying laps to try and support the pilot that may be struggling a little bit. So I'm curious to see who we have in the first and second sessions, and we'll go from there.
Indeed we will, absolutely. So it looks like we've got Team Monaco, Aoki, Brady and Sierra, who are coming out in this first group. And that is going to be very interesting to see how they all get on. When you take the boats out onto the water, as you go through a day, Anna, and you started off reasonably early in the morning doing the first part of qualifying, but as the day progresses, does it change a lot, the lake conditions, or will it stay pretty much the same throughout?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of that's dependent upon the location that we're at, but overall, the water's always changing. It can change lap to lap. So, you know, all day long, they're going to be dealing with changes. You know, intuition is something that's impossible to train, but, you know, the more time they spend in the race bird, they're going to have that intuition. So a lot of times you're going to see our power boating pilots, like Rusty Wyatt, for example, who come out and are very strong because they see those water conditions and know how to react before they arrive there, instead of being reactive after they're in trouble.
Well, the Aoki team, Danny Kloss, obviously they did a very good job in the opening part of this series. They're leading the championship at the moment with their results in Jeddah, which was impressive. And we'll see whether they're going to be able to keep it up. But they weren't so rapid. They got through to the next stage because they ended up 7th fastest. But it was interestingly that both Aoki and Team Brady, which are the double champions, neither of them had the sort of pace we'd expect to see. But you know well that actually what matters is each part you're in, and you can often move it on to the next stage.
Yeah, something that we haven't really touched on is the propeller choice. You know, we're not 100% certain what propellers each team has chosen for quali day, but some of the teams that are struggling, it could have just been a propeller misstep. So it's very possible, you know, if they chose the wrong propeller today, that they're going to have to struggle through qualifying, and then tomorrow they may come back and be way faster if they switch to a different propeller. So it's really hard to say when we see competitive teams struggling on quali day what the issue is, but the grid could completely switch tomorrow.
Well, we shall see how it all comes together. As you say, Team Brady will have to try and deliver a bit better. Sam Coleman, though, is very, very capable, and we shall see how they manage to do this. As you can see from the list, 2 times E1 World Champions, both last year and the year before. This is only year 3, of course, of this series, but they have done it all up to now.
Yeah, something we don't talk about with Sam Coleman very often is he was actually one of the pilots that helped develop the Racebird in the beginning with the prototype. So he has this technical knowledge where, you know, if they're having issues with the boat, they're having issues with handling, or even if he's just noticing something that he thinks is a little out of order or could be good for them, he can take that back to their team. So I think that's really helped them in the long run, is to have that little bit of technical experience, you know.
So this is going to be interesting to see how we get into this start list for this next session. So let's have a quick look at this. And as you can see, the teams in this section: Sierra, Brady, Aoki and Monaco. And Owen Duncan, Danny Kloss there, Sam Coleman and Eric Stark. And of course, when we go into the next stage of qualifying, their teammates will then take over. So it becomes a combination, but it will be going through into each and every section we're doing. So that's what we're going to be starting with. And Max Nosher there, who is just obviously keeping an eye on Owen Duncan, who she is going to be doing this session for them, for Team Monaco. And we're going to see how Team Monaco get on with this, because they've been a little bit up and down. They only just got into this top 8. So can they do better this time, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, they had a little bit of time in between these sessions to go back and reconvene with the team. If they've made a propeller choice that is not great, they can't do anything about it, but they can definitely try and put something together if it was just a strategy mistake.
So the session is underway officially, but nobody's gone zat straight away for the line.
Yes, we're waiting to see if anybody's going to bully their way to the front. Maybe there's a delay that we're not sure of. Typically, they're all on top of each other trying to get to that first corner, so let's see what's going on.
Yeah, and the time is ticking away already, but it's a beautiful day here, really lovely weather, sunshine planned for the rest of the weekend pretty much, so we shall see if that all works. And the boat's just moving around a little bit, of course, down on the water now, but once they get up to speed and the foil comes into action, they just lift themselves up so much. When you're actually racing these, when you get that lift on the foil, what's the increase in speed? It must be massive, isn't it?
Well, you know, it's hard to say, you know, unless you're like actually in it. You know,
yeah.
I think the biggest thing is just the drag. So as you're coming up out of the water right now, you can see the water under the belly of the boat is creating a lot of drag. Once there's air moving underneath the boat, you don't have that drag anymore, and you're going to be going quite a bit faster.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there you go. There's a great view of it straight away as the foil does its job, lifts it up, and now goes into the first chance to do a quick lap here. They only get 2 opportunities to do fast laps to get them through to the next stage. And here we are with Team Monaco and Owen Duncan, the 20-year-old British pilot. Let's see how she gets on.
Yeah, on that straightaway already, they looked quite a bit better. She didn't fall off the foil until she got into the corner entry. It seemed like she was riding a little bit lower on the foil, but keeping it up on the boost. So we'll see what happens. She's taking this turn pretty tight. Looks pretty good.
So let's see, this is all going out in reverse order from earlier on today, so the slower one's going out first to see what they can do, and we are now watching on that back straight. That's, yeah, okay, dipped it a little bit, but it's, oh, is it holding the balance?
You can see the difference between like a soft touch against the water, the momentum stays forward and the boat seems to maintain its speed, but when you get that harsher slam, it's really like hitting the brakes.
Yeah, absolutely. New team for the series this year, and so still plenty to learn, of course, up against teams that have been doing it for quite a lot longer. Not all the teams have done both years, but many of them have. And so here we are with the boost, electric boost, always such a key part of this.
Yeah, she's keeping it pretty flat, which can be difficult to do when the boat's under boost. You see it get a little bit tricky there at the end, but she handled that pretty well.
So let's see, as she's about to cross over the line, we've been seeing times, under 1 minute 20 is pretty good. 1:16 we saw earlier today in one of the sessions, which was very, very impressive. But 1:19, 1:20 seems to be the sort of normal speed. We'll wait and see how this builds up. Monaco were definitely struggling a bit earlier on today, but they have made it through to this next stage. And it's just a question of, will this be fast enough? We've got to wait still, though, for Aoki, Brady and Sierra to get a lap in, see what they can do. And then, of course, they'll get one more lap in this time. And there is plenty of time still to go. We've got just under 17 minutes, still plenty of time to see what they can achieve.
Yeah, you know, the 119 might have been slightly slower compared to, like, Maika's lap earlier, but that's quite a bit better than Monaco was doing earlier. So maybe they reconvened and found something that they felt like they were doing wrong, because it looks like Open's off to a pretty good start here with 1 lap to go for Monaco.
Well, let's see what Aoki can do now, because Aoki were they are the championship leaders. They won the first race at Jeddah, and they actually qualified second. So remember, you get 3 points for the pole position. They got the 2 points for second, and let's see how this is going to develop for them in this one. They didn't show quite the pace earlier that we might have expected, but it is coming together reasonably well here at the moment, and Danny Kloss doing the job.
Yeah, a little bit bumpy coming across the starting line. He had 1 or 2 slams there, but then he picked it up pretty quickly. Like I said, it can be a little discouraging to cross the start line and be off the foils immediately, but it looks like Danny's pulling it together. He's running a pretty good line around here, just far enough to not clip the wing on the smart mark, but just close enough to keep it pretty tight.
I love the way they touch in so close to those marks, but just getting it right. Oh, it's that bumpy section there. That costs you some time.
Yeah, Danny Kloss is no stranger to taking out some smart marks here or there, so hopefully that doesn't happen for him this season. But it's been a bit of a running joke in the paddock that if anybody's going to knock out a smart mark, it's going to be Danny Kloss.
Okay, well, that's useful to know. Thank you. We will see how this goes. So, looking like a pretty good lap so far. Remember, the fastest we've seen, just the one so far, 1:19.8 in this particular session. But as I mentioned, we did see a 1:16 earlier on today. Now, looking pretty smooth through this section as well. And getting onto the speed a bit more, little bit of rocking.
Yeah, it was interesting to see, rather than apply the boost throughout the whole corner, he kind of waited and came off of it a little bit in the straight, and then he's not happy.
No, that didn't work.
Yeah, I think they may have changed their boost strategy slightly, and it doesn't look like it worked out for them. But I will say he was off the foils a little bit, which may have had nothing to do with the boost. That could just be the water condition. But, you know, it was interesting to see. They're the first ones that I've seen be on and off the boost in the corner like that. So you could tell the boat was a little bit disrupted by it. So he's got a little time to cool off before he puts out his next lap, and we'll see if they change things up.
Absolutely. Well, we shall see how this all comes together. But that was not the perfect opening lap for Aoki, even though they are the championship leaders at the moment. 7-point advantage over Team Brady, and Team Brady are also out in this particular session. Remember, of all of these, we have 4 in each of these first 2 sessions to establish where they are. And so don't worry about those in the no time at risk at this stage, because obviously we're only going to get 4 initially doing times, and when we get into the next session, then we get a bit more idea as who's likely to make it through and who isn't.
Yeah, when they're adding together the lap times, you know, it can really come down to literally the last lap of the day to change the board. We've seen a lot of upsets in the past, so we'll see what happens. We have Sam headed to the line right now. He just activated the boost as he was coming across the start, and looks like the waves are catching him a little bit, but he's maintaining his momentum for the most part.
Yeah, that's showing you how much boost he's using. So he uses the boost quite a long way down that start straight. Now into the corner, and it takes, if you used all the boost, it can take a while to recharge, but you don't have to use it all in one go. So you could see there, used it just briefly, and then it recharges, the boost recharges, and then just see where the boost comes back on. Is it on exit? Yes.
Yeah, it looks like Team Brady's been using the boost as they enter the corner, which is usually when the boat gets a little bit wet. So if you notice, whenever Sam's kind of dipping the wing into the corner, he's hitting the boost. So that kind of helps pull it out from getting too much water drag on it. And then they don't seem to be using it in the straights quite as much, so they may be saving that for the corners. There's a little bit right there. So yeah, a little bit different boost strategy than everybody else, but my hunch here is that they're trying to avoid getting the wing too wet. You know, when you have the boat tilted in the corner, if there's too much water coming up over the wing, it'll drag the boat all the way down into the water. So a little touch on the boost is going to help avoid that.
Okay, this is okay, this lap, but it's not actually quite, I don't think it's quite as quick as Team Monaco just yet, but let's just see. It depends on this final section as to whether it will be quite enough. They had to make it, he sort of dipped and turned a bit more, then picked it back up again, which is quite clever. Does go second fastest, so close to Team Monaco, but not quite, but that is a bit more encouraging.
Yeah, I think compared to earlier, Sam looked a lot more stable this time around. So, you know, even as the water conditions are kind of picking up and getting choppier, you know, he seems to have it figured out. So, again, you know, sometimes that first lap is a little bit of a sight lap, you know, testing the things that they spoke about. They're going to go back to the milling area, cool off, speak with their engineer, make some changes, and then what we see in the second lap is usually the applied science of everything they're trying to put together.
Well, let's see how this all comes together for the remaining part, because we've still got the other two teams, of course, and Sierra also all part of this, trying to establish what they can do, what kind of lap they can put together as well. But, well, we shall just see if anybody can beat that 119.8. As I said earlier, we did see some slightly faster times earlier on, and it is Sierra now coming out. So here's an opportunity to see what Eric Stark can do. Right then, Eric, go for it.
This
Let's
is
see
that
what you can do.
slingshot that I was talking about earlier. Eric was one of the first E1 pilots to do that, and everyone kind of followed suit. So that comes from Formula One powerboat racing, where they're trying to get the best run possible at the starting line, so they're at maximum speed as they cross the start.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Just coming in quite tight into the first corner, but dealing with it very well.
Yeah, you'll see typically Eric runs a pretty tight line around the track. Again, you know, the Formula One powerboats are turning on a dime, and I think he carries some of that over to E1. So you can see he's not terribly far off the smart mark there. So hopefully he stays off of it just enough to keep him safe, but it definitely, the tighter line is going to be the shortest one.
He's right in the mix with that first sector. That is, you know, very close to what everybody else is doing. Similar, he's not miles quicker, but at this stage it's looking all right. Charging the boost at the moment, but now using that boost a little bit more as he comes down to the end of that straight.
Yeah, so right around here is where Eric made a misstep earlier. He was on the boost as he was in the corner already. Right now he doesn't have the boost charged, so we're not going to see him do that again. Oh, maybe he's on the boost again. So right about here, Eric was on the boost in the previous session, and it upset the boat pretty dramatically. But he looks a lot smoother this time around. Yeah,
it's like he's just using little amounts of boost. It's quite clever. Maybe that is part of the technique that yeah, he's using just little chunks, and it's almost keeping the boat nice and stable. And he's set the fastest time. So well done, a 118.89. That is impressive. So Eric Stark has now set the pace for now. But remember, they all have a second flying lap, and he's immediately talking to the team, saying what worked and what didn't.
Yeah, I think overall he just kept it really stable and ran a tight line. So, you know, it could have been a combination of his skill and just the particular water conditions during his lap. I didn't see anything that looked too rough. He didn't have any big rollers he was kind of rolling into. So a mixture of luck and good driving on his part.
Yeah, no, that was a good effort, no doubt about it. So let's see how this all comes together. They've all managed to set a time so far, and it's really Aoki who have struggled, which is surprising because they did such a great job in Jeddah, but that really did not work that lap. So can they work out what went wrong and then try and get into the battle, because it's only 1.3 seconds between the other three there. And remember, we'll get the other four teams coming out after this session, and then the slowest two of the 8 will go out. 7 and 8 will go out.
Yeah, I'm hoping I don't jinx it here as Monaco comes across the starting line here, but it seems like they have figured something out in their trim and lift settings to help stabilize the boat. You know, in the previous sessions, they were very, not out of control, but just very unstable coming across that first straightaway, and I think that's where most of the teams are losing their time. So just cleaning that up alone, you know, increase their position quite a bit.
We're back on board with Owen Duncan, and she apparently reported back to the team that it was pretty bumpy out there on that first run, and she's hoping for a slightly smoother run this time. What do you think, Anna? Is it looking smoother?
No, unfortunately not. That first corner looked pretty bumpy, but I think it's the straights really where you can lose the most speed if it's quite rough, because it's very, very difficult when you're dealing with water conditions to keep keep the boat stable to go fast. You know, the stability comes from the ride height, and if you have to lower the boat to keep it stable, you're going to go slower from the drag. So this is not looking good for Oban right now. I can imagine she's not very happy right now.
Yeah,
quite a bit of bumps going on.
She's actually done a slightly better middle sector than I expected, though. Actually, that's actually worked quite well. So she's still putting together a reasonable lap, because I thought, like you, that it hadn't quite worked going around that first lap. Let's just see what time she manages to do. Is it? Oh, it's a 1:19.14, which is that's pretty good. So hopefully they're going to be in good enough position there to be able to go through to the next stage.
Oh, there's a smile from Oban. That's rare. So she must be really happy if she's smiling like that. Yeah, I was kind of surprised to see such a good time. Not to say that her driving was bad, but just that it was so rough in the first sector there. So she definitely made up some time elsewhere on the track. So good for them. Compared to earlier, they're looking really good. So like I said, anything can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see what happens, because it is all very close, and no surprise really when you've got these top teams getting a bit more experienced with the whole game. It's just the surprise is Team Aoki, and when we see Team Aoki out once again, this is going to be absolutely crucial that they put together a decent lap when they're leading the championship. And Danny Kloss will be out once again. There you are, looking at the Aoki team. This is crucial. How's the mood, I wonder?
Oh, Danny's not looking very happy. The head sag, I think, was the sign. But, you know, Danny's pretty good at keeping things cool under pressure. He has a really incredible team behind him. You have Matilda, and then you also have Alberto Combrato, who are both from Formula Powerboat Racing. Great strategy, great coaches. So, I think at the end of the day, this might be a setup issue. They're struggling with the conditions. So if they can figure it out, I know they have the capability to put down a fast lap, but this may just be a struggle for them.
It may be. Well, let's see if this one can work, because this is the chance really for Aoki. Yes, she's in the top 4 at the moment, but once the other group come out, you would think much more likely to be down in 7th or 8th.
Up a little bit high on the foils right there, and you could hear it as the hole hit the water, but he's not coming down off of it as much as he did on the previous lap, so he's already off to a better start, I think.
Okay, well, let's see if they can put it together here. It's important for them. The pressure is on. Got to get it right. Try not to make any errors. Get the smoothness, the tightness into the corners. That was done very nicely.
He's using the boost in a slightly different place here. He's kind of upset the boat a little bit because he activated the boost as he was coming into the face of the waves. But he's still riding it out here.
He is, and that first sector is quite absolutely up there with what the others have been doing. So he has potentially got the chance to get up to that group and see whether he can battle to be one of those top ones. This is important down the back straight. This is looking a bit smoother than some of the ones we've seen.
Yep, and it looks like he's saving a lot of his boost right here. He might have activated the boost a little bit too early, upset the boat quite a bit coming into that corner, but he's still got some boost left to maybe make up for that.
Yeah, and it's still a reasonable lap so far. If he can just get this exit right now. As you say, how he's using the boost here.
Not carrying a lot of speed here. He's got to keep it stable.
Try not to get too rocky coming out of that last corner, or dealing with it a bit, but this is looking reasonable. But I'm not sure, is it going to 1:20.3? No. Oh, they're still 4th fastest here. It's much closer than they were. It's a much better lap than they had done, but it's still not really one to feel safe with.
Yeah, that was one of those laps where that one mistake entering the final round there, I think, was probably the second that he needed to be where he wants to be. So, like I said, it can be so tough. One mistake, one moment of falling off the foil can cost you 1 or 2 seconds.
I know, Anna, you've done this many times, so you know exactly what it's like to be behind the wheel of these, and it can sometimes work and sometimes not, but it is a bit of a surprise for that team that did so well at Jeddah. And it just shows us, I mean, you know this inside out from having done so many races, but different surfaces, different areas that you're competing on, sometimes you can have a good weekend, other times it can go completely wrong.
Yeah, the beauty of Jeddah is you don't get these rolling waves that are running parallel to the straight lines on the track quite so much. You get more of like a bathtub chop, which the boat has a little bit easier time navigating that. The issue with these straight runs running parallel with the waves is that the boat finds itself kind of leaning back and forth on the 2 different wings, and then you also have this massive foil underneath the engine that is just dragging in the water. And if that thing gets enough leverage on it, there's not much the pilot can do to keep the boat from acting up a little bit.
Danny Kloss was reporting the big waves on that last sector. Yeah, so you can never know exactly how the lake is going to behave. Here we go. This is going to be interesting for Team Brady then to see whether they can improve as well. Sam Coleman, currently third fastest, only 1.35 seconds off, but it will be close. So really could do with trying to get either closer or even try and take that top spot to be a bit safer when the next group come out as well. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, compared to Aoki, it looks like Sam has quite lower ride height here, and you know, that might be paying off for them because, you know, like I said, the slam isn't quite so aggressive when you're closer to the water. You kind of just dip down for a second and bounce right up. So that may be the hidden sauce here that Aoki was missing, was maybe they were just being too aggressive and trying to get too high in the air for this rough water.
That's a good point. It's interesting to see that sometimes it can be more effective to just be a little bit more cautious with it. But let's see how this is going to go for Sam Coleman. It's coming together so far. Reasonable.
The boost application here has been a pretty big contributing factor here, because if they're on the boost coming into these waves, yep, just like that, they kind of dip down off the foil. But because of that low ride height, Sam recovered right away, so this is still looking like a good lap.
Yeah, it is, but is it going to be quite enough? That was good middle sector, reasonably good. Of course, at the moment, just 1.35 seconds off the outright pace by Sierra so far. How tidy? Yeah, that's looking pretty tidy coming out of the last corner, not bouncing it around too much. It's a 120.5, but that hasn't actually gained them really any advantage, so it's okay, but it sort of depends what everybody else does, doesn't it?
Yeah, when Sam crossed the finish line there, he still had some boost left, so I don't know if that was intentional, if there was maybe somewhere on the track where they could have applied that to make up the time. So he looked pretty smooth, though, so I think at this point it's how everyone's navigating the conditions today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we shall see how it goes. There's still time on this session, but I think everybody has...
I think we have one more lap from the start.
Yeah, absolutely. Still haven't had everybody out there yet, but we are about to see Sierra come back out, and that will be already they have done a great job. So can Eric Stark go even faster on this lap? And of course it does matter, because you don't know what the next group are going to do. You still want to try and get the best you can.
Yeah, I think this the running speed on this start straight right here is going to be everything for Eric right now. So keeping the boat stable, coming across the starting line without falling off the foil.
He's been told by the team, have fun on this lap, because they're obviously feeling confident that he's already done such a good time. And in other words, you don't need to go mad, just enjoy it, and let's just, you know, if you can just chip away just the odd tiny bit, then that will be fine.
Yeah, the good news for Eric here is, you know, in the event that he does bungle it, he's still got a good time on the board. So like you said, you know, he can have fun with it, he can explore a little bit, but we'll see if he can do something faster.
Yeah, okay, well, let's watch him through here and see how he goes with these sector times as he comes around. First sector, it's sort of, okay, it's not the fastest we've seen so far. And of course, he's already set the outright pace, so it doesn't matter if this isn't their fastest lap at all, because no one else has beaten it, and they can't go again, because you only get 2 flying laps, and he's the one who's doing the last of his second flying laps.
Yeah, his fast lap was quite a bit tighter on the smart mark, so I kind of wonder if he's changing things up to just see if there's speed staying off the markers a little bit, but I think his previous lap is going to be hard for him to beat.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he's going to be just a little slower than he was when he did that 118.89, but it doesn't matter because he's fastest in this session. And yes, you could argue that some of the other teams that are due to come out in the next session could go even faster, but he's doing a nice job and not going crazy. Doesn't want to do any damage, of course. It's a 120.2, but that's not quite as quick as he did earlier, but it's still consistent.
Yeah, it could have been a couple different things that he lost 2 seconds on there. He definitely took a wider line, and then there's always the water condition. So the previous lap, like Micah's lap earlier, could have just been a really smooth lap where he just had the luck of hitting the water just at the right time.
Absolutely. Well, Sierra and Monaco are definitely going through, because even if everybody else went fast, they would still be in the top 6, obviously, because the slowest 2, they're the ones that could be under risk, and they will be a bit anxious. And they're 2 great teams. Are we going to lose one of the great teams that have done very well so far this year, first and second in the championship after that first event in Jeddah? But there is a real chance that one of them may not make it through to the next stage.
Yeah, I know we're talking a lot about Aoki, but I think we need to be looking more at Team Monaco, because they have just suddenly emerged here. You know, they had a
first year for them, isn't it?
Not only that, but you know, just session to session, not to
Yeah.
not to be brutal, but it was almost abysmal, earlier today, and now all of a sudden they've picked up a lot of speed. So, if they continue to learn throughout the day, I think it's going to be great.
Yeah. Well, very impressive what they have all managed to do, and Sierra team fast. Eric, this is TV. That was very impressive. You must be happy.
Yeah, very nice lap. We were struggling yesterday. We didn't put so many laps in, so I mean, it feels like every time I'm doing a lap now, it feels quicker and quicker. And yeah, this one was a nice one.
Great, well done. Fantastic stuff, and plenty more to come, of course, when we go through to the next stages. But that really was impressive, and Sierra showing good taste there over everyone else, and consistent in both, but that first lap was particularly good, 1:18.8. Well, let's see how this goes, because we're going to go, there's Katie Munning, so she's going to be keeping an eye on all this to watch how it all comes together as they continue. And of course, well, we're going to get this next group out shortly, aren't we?
Yeah, just to the right of Katie, they kind of stepped off the screen there, but there were a couple members of Victory Team, which is a really historic powerboat racing team. And they've come in to help Team Sierra from a technical perspective. And speaking from experience working with those guys, they know their stuff. So, starting off as a new team, I don't think they could have picked a better support staff to get them going. So I think that's some of the secrets of their early success, is just having an incredible team. So those three guys there, they've been involved in power boating for a very long time.
That's good news. And Katie, of course, will be doing the next run for Sierra. They've got through to this next stage. Absolutely, they are safe, even though we haven't exactly worked out who's not going to make it through to the next stage. But by being fastest, they will not be chucked down. I suppose the only thing is if you couldn't actually do a lap, of course. If something went wrong with the boat and you couldn't do a lap, then you could be thrown out, but I don't think that's very likely.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing I could think of is there may be some penalties somewhere in the rulebook that could throw them out, which, we've seen Eric, unfortunately, get some penalties in the past, but he's not on the track. So
Yeah.
If Katie just runs a clean one, they should be good.
And of course, she'll be in the next session anyway, so next group, they don't all have to compete together. So all good fun, and we will see how this all goes. But yeah, we are about to catch up with some of those competing. Let's go down to Taylor.
Down here on the launch zone with Team Sierra Racing, and you guys have pulled it off. Eric, you were just in the boat now. That's what we needed to see, those fast lap times out there.
Yeah, it was a really smooth and nice lap. I think our fastest lap for the whole weekend. So yeah, really, really nice. Now it's Katie's turn.
It's Katie's turn. Obviously, you guys, there's 2 boats out, but there's still another round of eliminations. So what do you need to do to make sure that those next 2 boats aren't one of yours?
Yeah, you've just got to be on it. The competition's going to get tighter and tighter as you go through the day. I really like this new format of qualifying this year. I think it's really exciting. So I'm really excited to get out there. The water's kind of calming down now this afternoon. It was super choppy this morning. So I think we're just going to have to see precision out there to make it through.
Precision, definitely. There's a lot of strong boats. We've seen some changes already in just one day. Who do you think the top competitors are right now?
I mean, I think Alula for sure.
Someone did a 116, Ali. I don't know who that
yeah,
was.
Drogba did 116. So, I mean, I think it's probably like 8 teams that can win. So it's.
Who are the two that
You didn't say Sierra. Sierra.
Sierra.
There we go. All right. Thanks, guys. Congrats.
Well, let's see how they managed to do, but they've done a great job. A really good job. Let's just look at that result then from that session. Sierra taking the fastest time with a 1:18.89. Monaco second, 19.14. They're safe. Third and fourth, Team Brady and Team Aoki are not safe because we've got to get into Group B now, and we will lose 2 of the teams that are competing throughout this. Of the 8 teams in total, we will lose 2. They won't go through to the next stage. So they'll be keeping a very close eye on this next session when we get the other teams coming out. But that's how it is. And Sierra, really, as we've heard, they're very happy with the way that's gone. Good work by Eric Stark. And Katie Munnings will have the job in the next stage of qualifying, but they are through to that already. So, good stuff. Team Monaco doing a good job as well. Oban Duncan was going very quickly as well. Let's go down and join with Taylor.
Oben Duncan, Monaco came in second in that round, and that had to feel a little bit like sweet relief. I think if Blue Rising didn't have that penalty, you guys may have been on the chopping block, but luckily you guys came out with speed. Where'd you find it?
Yeah, we didn't have great luck this morning with the conditions, and then those 2 runs there were great. The team have worked really hard in between the 2 sessions to work out what we can do better, and I think as a whole team we just did really well out there.
And I was just speaking with Katie earlier. You said the water conditions are shaping up. How does it feel out there? I know from the viewer's eye, it looks a little bit calm, but what are the true water conditions as a pilot?
I mean, if there was no boats out there going next to us, it would be perfect, but the boat wash from everyone else using Lake Como this weekend is causing problems for us. But it's hit or miss whether it's flat or calm. Difficult for the drivers to gauge, but we'll get there.
I love it. Well, it is Lake Como, so we have some absolutely beautiful water. I would be out there too, I think.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So there we are, just looking back at some of the Q2 as we're getting all ready for the next stage of qualifying, with the other teams coming out at this beautiful Lake Como in northern Italy, the Lombardy region, which is in beautiful weather as well, as they come back to this event, having been here in the past, and it's just the second event of this 2026 season. So let's have a look at the lineup coming up for the next part of qualifying, and there we are. It's going to be Drogba, Miami, Alula and Westbrook. Those are the teams that will be coming out in this one, and we are going to be seeing Timmy Hansen, Sarah Price, Michael Jones Wilkinson and Rusty Wyatt will be doing that. So we will see how they get through or not, because remember, when we've had them all coming out, all four in this session as well, then the slowest 2 of the 8 will not be going through to the next part of qualifying. Teams now gearing up, getting ready for what they have to cope with, and the time clicking away. So you can see they're all out there now. Miami, Westbrook, Drogba and Alula, the boats are all out there ready to go. Who's going to go first? Again, just like we saw in the last part of qualifying, no one going
My
straight
guess
out.
is Timmy Hansen is going to try and jump out here.
Okay.
I don't know. He looks like he's chilling out. Oh, there he goes.
Is that something you've often seen before, is it?
Well, you know, typically they're all trying to bully their way to the front, but they may have been kind of waiting. If there was a penalty handed out earlier for fighting over getting on the track first, that may be why we're seeing some hesitation right now.
Absolutely. So here we go then. It is Miami that is going for it. Miami going for that first flying lap. And let's see how this comes in. Remember, we've seen a 1:18.8 so far fastest from Sierra. Let's see whether this is going to be a match in their first flying lap. They get 2 flying laps, so this is attempt 1 out of 2. And this is how it all starts to come together.
Yeah, he seemed to take the start straight away here pretty well. He did come off the foil once when he got under the boost, but he seemed to recover from it, and now he's headed into this first corner. Kind of overshot the first corner a little bit, but brought it back pretty quickly.
So let's watch him now as he goes onto the back straight, using the boost to a certain extent, keeping that extra power going down the back straight, and using it for a while, but not completely, but taking a little bit of a dip there.
Yeah, coming around this yellow right here is where we've seen a lot of people fall off the foil, headed into those waves under boost, and it looks like Timmy might be okay. Right about here is where we've been losing the boats right here.
They've got quite a decent height on the foil too with this one, haven't they?
Yeah, not quite at the top, but kind of in the middle there, which is usually a pretty good spot.
Yeah, makes sense. So the lap is going reasonably well at this stage. It's right up there with the sort of times we saw in the previous session. Let's see whether Miami are going to be able to make them comfortable with a decent first lap. It's 1:19.6, and that is reasonable. It's not the fastest we have seen, but getting into the 19s and particularly into the 18s should make you safe. But if you're in the 20s, then could still be in a little bit of trouble. So we're still waiting for all 4 in this session. We've got 1 that's gone out, but you need the other 3 to come out to give us a bit more of an idea then as who will actually be at risk. But that was a decent lap, no doubt. Good first lap, and sometimes the first lap is the one where you just want to tick it together, and the second one is where you really go for it, but hopefully not making mistakes. So Timmy Hansen doing a good job there.
Yeah, if the water conditions are in fact getting smoother, like Oben and some of the other pilots were saying, then we should see the times start dropping pretty significantly to where they were earlier. So Timmy's 1:19 might be a good indication of that. You know, as he was coming around, it seemed like the few spots that they have been falling off the foils, they weren't. So maybe that means that this water's getting smoother.
Okay, well, we shall find out. It looks like Westbrook's getting going now. Yes, so Westbrook now underway, and we shall see whether Sarah Price, the American, is she going to be able to put together the sort of lap earlier on when Westbrook were out. They were 3rd fastest in the Q1 classification, so they were very competitive. They were looking very promising. Let's see how her lap goes.
Yeah, you can tell they're riding quite a bit lower to the water than Timmy was earlier. And you can see, you know, when she came down off the foil, the boat continued to move forward instead of slamming down onto the nose. So I think that may be the strategy that Westbrook's putting together here, is just staying lower on the foils to try and keep the momentum going when they're dealing with these water conditions.
Okay, now that looks like pretty neat and tidy so far. Now, through this back section, we have seen quite a lot of dipping from some of the boats so far. Boost is in action. It's actually lifting nicely at this stage.
She's pushing it up a little bit higher than earlier.
Okay.
This is where it's going to get dangerous, right around this yellow and then entering in the next corner. If she's really high up on the foils, we may see them fall down.
Yeah, it's looking reasonable so far. There's no doubt that she could be up there with the lead group. Sarah Price trying to put together, as they did earlier, decent performance.
Saved a little bit of boost for these last couple corners. Let's see where she applies it.
Yeah, it's actually partly through and then on exit, but only briefly. It's interesting how they do that sometimes. Another little boost here just as she turns. And now onto the final section here, coming back down. This is looking good, yeah, and goes into second. So that is a good effort, there's no doubt. That looks as though they're going to be pretty safe up there. And you have to say Westbrook are delivering extremely effectively so far. And the team, yeah, look, congratulating each other. They know they're in pretty safe shape, and it will be Lucas Ordóñez who will take it on. But for the next qualifying, they will have got through. I don't think they're going to be in the 7th and 8th positions.
Yeah, I think historically Westbrook has just done a really good job of remaining consistent across both pilots. You know, sometimes on the teams we see one pilot that's significantly faster than the other, and Lucas and Sarah make a great team because they stay pretty close together. So, you know, if Sarah's finding something that Lucas doesn't have, they seem to work it out. So that was a good lap for her, and then hopefully Lucas does the same later.
Absolutely. Yeah, she's looking confident and happy with the way that it's gone for her, and just being 0.13 of a second away, I think they will be safe with that. But of course, as we've mentioned, we've got two teams that are first and second in the championship at the moment that are at risk, Aoki and Brady, and they did that earlier session. So if the teams that are out there now, and Drogba is one of the next ones, obviously hasn't set a time yet, but we are about to see how Michael Wilkinson will get on with it.
That was fast. I'm curious to see what the top speed looks like. It looked so smooth, and he was very high up on the foil and still maintains stability. So I think that's where Micah may have been getting it earlier, was just, I don't know how he's doing it, but he's making it happen. So we'll see how he ends up overall, but that was one of the best start approaches that I've seen so far.
Oh,
he lost it a little bit right there. I may have spoke too soon, but...
No, it's still a good first sector, as you said. That is, you spotted that really well. The first sector, 28.9 seconds. So yes, you're right. Yeah, second sector he may not be quite so good because that little bit of bumping there, but I think he's still going to be in good shape.
Yeah, he built a good foundation with that start, so if he does make a little misstep, he may be able to be okay. But this is still his first lap, so if he has any trouble now, he can bring it back later.
Absolutely. Let's see. Drogba was second fastest in qualifying earlier on in the sessions. Let's see if they're going to go second or even up to the top.
Quite a bit of drag through those corners, but he's still maintaining pretty well. So he's still got some boost here as he comes around.
Definitely on it. I think it could even be possibly the fastest. We've had a 118.8, and he does go quicker. 118.1, fantastic.
Wow, Micah, I think he won it right there on the start. That was the highest flying that I think we've seen at that speed. So I'm curious to see what his top speed looked like, but that was beautiful. And even though he had that huge off in the back, so we may see an even faster lap as he comes out for his second run, but I think Drogba's really pushing it, and somehow they're right at the edge, but not quite tipping over, so good for them.
No, good effort, as you say. So Michael Wilkinson has done a really, really good job there. And he's the guy who says that being energetic always is important and passionate and never say die. Well, he's done it really well there and delivered a fantastic performance. But, of course, it's not all over yet because we've got some more to come. But that was impressive. And Drogba are now back up at the top. But as we see, Aoki have now been pushed down to 7th. And that is the team that is currently leading the championship, and well, that they are down in that position already. So they will not be going into the next stage. Whether they go down to 8th or whatever, we'll find out, because it's Alula now. Now, of course, Alula were fastest earlier, and it's likely they're going to do another very impressive job.
Yeah, you know, I think you're probably on the right track there, but you know, you never know with penalties. You know, I know for sure in race control, the team principals are looking for opportunities to knock people out. So, you know, who knows? There could be a penalty that pops up, but yeah, it's not looking good for Aoki right now. But you know, they still have a shot later to at least improve on their situation and hopefully rally before tomorrow.
Well, let's see how Rusty Wyatt gets on with this run, and the 31-year-old Canadian who's had some good experience. He's in his second season of E1, and the team had a good 3rd place last year, but can they put it together? How do you think this one's looking, Anna?
Yeah, Rusty made it around that first corner there without getting the wings too wet, so that, you know, helped keep the drag off of the boat. So he's looking pretty good so far. Not riding nearly as high as Michael was earlier, but, you know, that helps Rusty maintain control. So we'll see. Right about here's where we've been falling off, but he looks like he used the boost to power through it. So let's see how he finishes his lap.
First sector was not great. The second sector a bit better. He's kind of in the mix, but he did lose a little bit in sector 1. But let's just see. Remember, this is the first of 2 laps that he will be able to do. You can't do one straight after the other, but there will be a second one. But whether this is going to be enough, let's just see. I think it'll be up there, but not quite top. Well, it actually is. Yeah, does a good job there. Rusty Wyatt coming up reasonably well, but not quite as fast as they would have liked, because only in 6th place at the moment. And the amazing thing is that the 2 top teams have now been pushed down to 7th and 8th. And that means, effectively, as you say, unless someone gets disqualified now or loses a position, that is it. We've got the top 2 in the championship will not be going through to the next stage, and they will not be scoring any points. Yes, you only get 3 points for the being fastest qualifier, 2 points for second fastest, and 1 point for third. But that's going to really hurt them, and they're going to have to get it all together for tomorrow, but it makes it fun for everybody else.
Yeah, so when we see something like that, like a big upset, like teams like Brady and Aoki that are usually at the top of the quali boards, my guess is we may have run into a propeller miscalculation. So maybe yesterday in free practice they ran a propeller that was perfect for the conditions, and then today the propeller that they chose wasn't a good fit for the conditions. So my guess is they have a technical problem that hopefully they can reset from tomorrow, because like you said, it's not very often that we see these heavy hitters at the bottom like that. So hopefully Danny and them can keep their heads on, sort out their issues, and come back swinging tomorrow. But Danny's got the headphones on, so I don't think he feels like talking right now.
No, you're right. Well, it is interesting, because Brady were fastest in qualifying last time out in Jeddah by 1.7 seconds from Aoki, but they were first and second, and now they're going to be out of qualifying at this point, down in 7th and 8th. Right, we're now keeping an eye on Timmy Hansen and Timmy for Miami. Let's see how Timmy goes now onto his 2nd flying lap. And Timmy currently is 3rd fastest in this group, 5th overall. So reasonably, yeah, I mean, actually he is safe, because all of them are safe going into this, because Brady and Aoki, they can't go back out. They've done what they can do. So actually everybody going back out now, this is more about experience and about thinking ahead to the next session.
Yeah, the biggest thing I've noticed between these sessions is the water is definitely a lot flatter. You know, the approach to the first corner before had waves that the pilots were driving straight into, which can usually upset the boat. And this time around, for Timmy's run and the run with the previous pilot, those waves don't seem to be there anymore. So they're able to maintain that straightaway speed all the way to the first corner without falling off the foil, and that can shave off so much time.
Riding on board and getting a lovely view, just as the pilot has pretty much, and thankfully getting a clear line, beautifully done, almost touching in, but keeping it safe. And actually, look at that, very impressive, a 1:16.6. So they have set the outright fastest so far back into the 1:16s. Well, actually, we did see a 1:16 earlier, but this is an official time for this session, because it's not combined in this one with your other pilot. It's done individually this time. That is very impressive.
Yeah, with the water getting flatter, I do think Drogba still has one more lap in this session, so it'll be interesting to see what we get from Drogba next, because it definitely appears that the water is getting to be a little bit more manageable.
Well, it's good that you tell us that, because sometimes you do get these changes, don't you? And it can be a little bit hard to judge how the lake or the sea, whatever you're on, we're on a lake here obviously, is doing, but it's useful to know that it's just smoothing out a little bit at this stage.
Yeah, based on the cameras that we have facing out of the nose of the boat, you know, the water looks quite a bit calmer, the nose is not bouncing around so much, and if the pilots are able to get up higher on the foils, that's usually a key indicator of the water being a lot smoother. So Westbrook will be an interesting one to see, because I think they've played it a little conservative today, stayed a little bit low, so as the water is getting flatter, maybe we will see Sarah lift the boat out of the water a little bit more.
And this is a chance, because you're not at risk. You can really go for it on this second run, knowing that you are in the top 6. And it's almost worth those opportunities to, take a bit of a risk. If you have a bad one, it doesn't matter, because you're already making it through to the next stage.
Yeah, right after I said that, it looked like Sarah took her approach a little bit higher on the foil, and she was coming into some rollers from the side, and I think she started to come back down as she realized she was unstable. So hopefully that doesn't ruin her lap, but you could tell they look like they tried to push it a little bit more.
Yeah, understandably. And we shall see how this goes for the rest of the lap.
This is the angle I was talking about right here, where the waves that are directly in front of them, earlier you could visibly see how tall they were and that there were large gaps in between them, and that seems to have tapered down, so I think it's quite a bit smoother.
Okay, well that's good news, and we shall see if Sarah Price does a faster lap or not on this one. Her first sector not particularly quick. I'm not sure it's going to be any quicker than what she already has done. A 1:19.0 is what she did earlier, but maybe there's time here to just open it up a little bit more.
Yeah, she's got quite a bit of boost left as well, so
Yeah.
she's probably going to carry that boost all the way to the end. Let's see. Oh, she came off of it for just a second.
Right, okay, good middle sector. Let's just see how she gets it together with the last corner. That's quite a neat turn without too much bumping. That looks as though she's going to cross the line. Okay, 1:19.05. That is actually her best lap in this session, and they are safe. They are safely through. Westbrook there in 4th place, and nice and close in that group. You can see Sierra, Westbrook and Monaco all very, very close on the lap times that they have done, and they are learning all the time from each and every lap that they put out there. But as we know, the teams that are not going to be making it, Brady and Aoki. But we've still got a little bit more action to go here. We've still got a couple more teams ready to do their final laps, and who knows, we still might see something even faster than a 1:16.6. It's possible.
Yeah, you know, Sarah's run there, I think she may have gone up a little bit on her ride height to try and get some extra speed, but I'm not certain that she wasn't just running into some wave condition right there, especially on the front straight. So I think that may have been a little bit of bad luck and maybe a little shift in strategy, but I'm really curious to see what Drogba has in store here. If the water is actually getting smoother, the really aggressive driving style that we've been seeing from Drogba may pay off, because the stability is going to be less of an issue at that ride height when the water's nice and flat. So we'll see.
Yeah, I agree. Well, it's Alula that going next, I think. So we shall see how it goes for Rusty Wyatt. And this is, they are safe, but they could really do with a better lap, because they are the slowest in the top 6. So to go into the next stage and think, have we got this set up correctly, they need to get a better one.
Yeah, Rusty definitely approached the starting line at a higher ride height, and he fell off the foil right away. So let's see if he reels it in a little bit. You can still see the bounce bouncing a little bit, so it's hard to tell if it's rough or smooth, but
using the boost here to get the power out of the corner once again. And then, as you say, this is a slightly smoother section than it has been at times. Let's see. It's got a good flow to it.
Riding pretty high on the foils right now.
Yeah. So putting together a reasonable pace at this stage, although that first sector was not mega. Still not looking quite as rapid as some of the others, but maybe it's going to come together a little bit more in this second sector.
He's got a lot of boost to close us out right now.
Yeah, it is a better second sector, but as you say, let's see how that boost is able to be used. Lots of boost in the last sector, so this may well
running the boost out right now. If he can keep it stable.
Yeah, that's quite interesting how he used the boost all the way through there. So let's just see what the time is going to be as it crosses the line. 1:19.3. So it's better, but it's still not quite where they would have liked to have been. And it does mean that they are a bit at risk in the next session, because remember, the next slowest 2 will then go out in the next session. But for now, they're safe. They are safe. We know the teams that aren't going to be making it into this next stage.
Having to go back.
Now, I'm not a very good lip reader, but my guess is Rusty is talking about having to adjust his settings quite a bit. He's probably dealing with some instability with the bolt and is not happy with having to kind of tap dance through his lap. But, I think that start was really what cost him there. He had a good lap at the end, but he came across the starting line with a lot of speed, and he was really high up on the foil. He got into those waves that were coming across the starting line, and that was that. He probably lost half a second or a second just from bouncing around. So
yeah.
I think they have it. They just got to put it together.
Absolutely, totally get that understandable. Now, Drogba. They are 1.4 seconds off, which is okay. There's a little bit more to be tried to be found, but they are safe. They're second fastest in this group, and they are definitely going to be in the battle for the points when we get into it all. Michael Wilkinson is back out there. How does the start look for you?
I'm trying not to jinx him. I'm trying to let him get through it before I make a comment. Again, that was really smooth. I don't think his approach was quite as fast as before. He was a little bit later on the boost this time. He started a little bit lower, but it maybe they're looking for some consistency here. But he's looking smooth. He's taking a pretty tight line here. Not quite clipping the buoy, but rounding it off pretty nicely. And he's staying really flat. He's not getting the wing too wet. When they start getting the top of the wing wet in the corner, that's where the danger is. So we'll see how he does on the backstretch here, if he gets aggressive and gets up into the air, but so far he's looking okay.
Yeah, he's looking okay, and it's that first sector is in a mix with what other people have done in this session. A little bit too much diddy there, but we do see that before sometimes. Doesn't always affect them. Oof. He's having a bit of a play with it. Almost feels as though he's trying, just experimenting a bit more.
Yeah, it looks like he changed his boost strategy slightly. He's not got it. He's kind of saving it right here. He's going to try and ride it out till the end. Let's see what he gets.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Michael Wilkinson, let's see what he can do. Are we going to get into the 190? Oh, it's 118, 118.8. That's pretty good. That's pretty effective. But it's not quite as quick as the fastest that we have seen, the 116.6 that Miami did earlier on. But nonetheless, they're in a very good position. They are safely through to the next stage, and their opportunity to score points for qualifying today are definitely possible. But the teams that we have lost out, so surprising, I'm astonished really. Brady and Aoki, the two teams that have not made it through this part of qualifying when they are the top two teams in the championship. They qualified first and second at the previous event in Jeddah, and now they will not be going through to the next stage of qualifying.
Yeah, I think consistently what we're seeing here is just a matter of the conditions. You know, I don't even think it's a matter of who's in the boat or what the strategy is or anything like that.
Well, really good to see how it's all come together. And let's go to Timmy Hansen. Timmy, TV here, and we are thinking that's fantastic. How did it go for you?
A little debrief just outside the boat where we had it earlier.
Okay, we will.
I don't know if there's a TV there or not, but it was great. I have a great time. Me and Mike are having a battle. He did a 116 before, and now I did a 116, so maybe one of us can pull off like a 15 later on. Let's see. I'm enjoying the battle.
Great news. Impressive stuff. And he looks very happy, doesn't he?
Yeah, Timmy's one of those pilots that I don't think I've ever seen him lose his cool, and I think that does a lot for him on race day, you know, when you're dealing with adversity. But, you know, Miami's definitely had a lot of issues over the last year just trying to get the boat dialed in, and it seems like they're off to a better start this season. So good on Timmy for consistency today, and we'll see how his co-pilot does later.
Absolutely. And Drogba, second fastest. Mike Wilkinson doing a very good job. Taro Pacheco will be taking over in the next stage of qualifying, and we shall see how that all goes together. Of course, we've got to get into a couple more stages before you decide who gets to win the points for pole position. But there we are with Team Miami, a chance to catch up with Team Miami fastest, and Taylor is with them, so let's catch up with them.
Timmy Hansen, what an incredible run that was. You're all smiles right now. When we spoke earlier and you almost had the fastest time and then Micah came out and stole it, you said, I'm up for the fight. And that's what you did out there.
Yeah, I'm just happy I beat Micah. You know, he went so fast this morning and I was like, oh my God, how'd you do that? But now I made a 116, but I think I'm cooking up a 15. Let's see this afternoon. But the main thing is, you know, Micah's going fast too, so you're going to be on your toes.
You absolutely do. It's truly anybody's game out here. We've seen from round to round, the top two competitors, your points leaders, Aoki and Brady, are out. What does that mean for everybody else?
That's great news for everybody else, I guess. Okay, catching back some ground maybe, but you know, the big points are scored tomorrow, but it is a massive advantage to start on the inside. Rihanna did a fantastic job for us before. I'm more than comfortable to hand over the boat to her. You know, her first weekend with the team, and she's already performing really well. So we're in good shape, and we're having fun, and we're enjoying the weather. It's nice here in Lake Como.
Congrats, Team Miami. Thank you, Timmy.
Wonderful job. Yeah, really well done. Let's have a look at the results then from that Q2 session. Miami taking the top spot with that 116.6 ahead of Drogba and Sierra very close, both on the 118s, and then Westbrook and Monaco and Alula all on 119s, so it was close. But the big surprise, the eliminated teams, Brady and Aoki, the teams that got the most points at the first event in Jeddah, they are not going to be in the next stage of qualifying. There will be work done by those teams for the racing tomorrow. It doesn't mean it's all over for them. The racing is what counts, and there'll be a lot of build-up through the different races to get yourself into the right position. But for their first race, they will be in a more difficult position to get going. But if they can work out how to make it happen, we could see them compete again. But it's all going to be very entertaining, and Team Westbrook, fourth fastest there. Let's see how it's all been going for them. Taylor is with Westbrook.
Down here on the launch zone, I'm having a quick chat with Sarah Price, Westbrook Racing. We're talking about strategies. Can you tell, obviously nobody gives me information beforehand what your strategy is, but you can kind of tell out there.
Well, I'm not going to tell you mine, but I will tell you, like, everyone's using different strategies, and it's quite interesting. You know, me and Lucas are sitting here watching, and we're like, oh, weird, they're boosting there. Okay, wow, they're boosting there, and we know where we're boosting. So it's just a lot of different, I think, strategies going on and ways of the course right now. So it's kind of interesting, and I think it's starting to show where everyone has their kind of finesse.
Well, everyone's putting down fast laps. Obviously, you came in Q1 smoking fast with that 119. We're now in the 116s. Where can you find more speed? Timmy thinks 115 is possible out of Miami.
Yeah, I think you could probably get down there. You just have to have a clean lap, and that's the hardest thing is like that last lap, I had a bad first part of my lap, but I had a great second part. So if I could have a good first part with that second part, it probably could have been a 115, 116, but that's the hardest thing about E1 is that put a whole lap together is not easy.
All right, thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Well, here we are at Lake Como, looking forward to the next stage of qualifying. We've already seen a surprise here with some of the top teams failing to make it through to get to the main stages of qualifying when they will actually be able to score some points, which is a tough one. And one of the top teams, Team Brady, have been struggling. Let's find out more from Taylor.
I've made my way over to Mission Control and I caught up with Team Brady. Obviously, this is not the day you guys wanted to have. There's 4Q qualifying sessions. You guys have been eliminated.
Yeah, I filmed a podcast with Timmy this morning called Driver Excuses, and I think I need a few of those right now. Now, we've been struggling with the boat all practice yesterday and today, and I think we maximised what we have. Like, Emma did a 19.5 in her session, it looked great, did a great job with the boat, and then in my session I did like 20 points something and 20 points something again. So it's the fastest laps I did all weekend, but the boat's just not doing what we want it to do. So we think we know what it is. It's just, can we get it solved tonight?
Obviously, we know anything can happen in E1 from today to race day tomorrow. Things can change drastically. How does the mindset that you guys must keep change, or does it have to stay consistent and competitive all weekend?
No, well, obviously we are very competitive, fiercely competitive. But yeah, we're just basically trying to maximize every session, and what we need to do is to just trying to get those starts right tomorrow, and then see what we can do from there. But yeah, just basically never give up. That's the Finnish sisu that hopefully I bring to the team as well.
All right, best of luck tomorrow. Thank you.
Yeah,
so
well,
much.
they're giving us more time to study data tonight, so look out tomorrow.
Well, we will definitely be watching it. It will be fascinating to see, but we are getting ready for the Q3, where there are 6 teams: Sierra, Drogba, Miami, Alula, Westbrook and Monaco. Those are the 6 teams that have made it into this next stage, and all 6 teams will go into this qualifying performance once again, where they just only get 2 flying laps effectively. So 1 lap, come back in, 1 more flying lap, but we've got plenty of time with the 6 teams, so they will be able to get themselves some nice clear space and go for it and see where they can get into the final session.
Oh, I can already see Drogba trying to bully their way to the front here. The water looks significantly smoother. You can see the race birds are not rocking around in the milling like they were earlier, but is Drogba going to bully their way to the front? We'll see.
Well, it will be fascinating to watch to see how they do this. And we do have plenty of time in this session. So 10 seconds until they're actually allowed to go. As you say, who's going to rush into it? But there is no mad rush to get going, because they just need to do 2 flying laps during this session, and they have plenty of time to develop that. You can see it's just under half an hour to get this done, but you want to do it when there's no other boat out there. So I can understand wanting to be the first one out there.
Yeah, I have to imagine that there was some kind of penalty earlier when we saw Drogba and Brady fighting, because the pilots are not trying to push their way to the front like they were earlier.
So actually at this stage the race director does tell them, so they don't on the earlier stages, but this stage the race director does tell them, right, you can go now. And that's fair, because otherwise you end up with a battle going into the first section, and that rather spoils qualifying.
Yeah.
So we're with Alula now, aren't we?
Yeah, to your point, that makes things smoother, but it also doesn't dictate whether or not you have any control over the water condition. You know, you can try and go out when it looks a little bit smoother. You can have your spotter say that it's smoother, but now it's up to the race director, so they just have to deal with it.
Now remember, it's the slowest that go first, and then we'll build up to the fastest. So you're looking effectively at the ones that are under a bit more pressure to try and make it into the top 4 going into the next stage. So we're with Nerea Marti now. She's taken over from Rusty Wyatt at Alula, and Rusty was only, well, I say only, he was 6th fastest, and it was actually very close. The times that Rusty did to 2 teams ahead were very close, so it's entirely possible, but Nerea Marti's now got to get it all together.
Yeah, really interesting line choice from Nerea here right now. She went so wide around that first corner, you could have fit a race bird or 2 in between her and the smart mark, so I'm curious to see if that is a winning combination or if that slows her down. It made the boat really smooth, but she definitely took the longest path around.
When you get that flick like that, Anna, when you're a pilot, how do you deal with it? How can you sort it quickly? We just have to deal with it and move on. I mean, there's nothing much you can do about it.
Yeah, when the boat is in the air like that, all you can really do is ride it out and then hope to reset your setting once you land, because it may change a little bit from the leverage on the foil. So it looked like she rode that out pretty well. She didn't let off, so hopefully that pans out for her.
Yeah, but a 121 is not an terribly encouraging time, because 121 would have been slower than what we saw in the previous session. So that's not ideal. You really want to be getting down under 120 to be in a relatively safe position. So, yeah, that hasn't quite gone together for Nerea Marti, but I'm sure she'll be working on it.
I think she may have lost some of that time with that really wide line that she took. I haven't seen any other pilots go that wide this morning, and that could have been a result of just carrying a lot of speed into the first corner, or it could have been a strategic decision. So I would imagine when she comes out again, we're going to see her tighten that line up, so we'll see.
Fair enough. And that flick that she had, that sort of sideways flick, that certainly
I
had an effect.
glanced away from the boost when that happened, so my guess is she was under boost when that happened, and the boat got a little unstable at speed. But she recovered okay, but definitely lost some time there.
Well, here we go with Monaco, and let's see how they get on with this. So Owen Duncan, she did a 1:19.1 in that previous session, and it's now Max Noscher who is competing with Team Monaco.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Max does here. You know, Owen definitely cleaned up their time, and now him as a newer pilot, I'm curious to see if he can take what she learned and translate that into a faster lap, because he was definitely struggling in the earlier session.
It's looking very smooth at the moment, keeping it going. He's not using the boost just at this stage. You can see from online there, when it goes green, the boost is in action. That was quite early. I was surprised, actually. We did it quite early there as he's turning. But sometimes some clever work like that does produce the effect you need to get that extra speed.
It definitely looks like the water is a lot smoother right now, so that's really going to help these guys out this afternoon.
It's looking very smooth down the back straight at the moment, so we'll keep an eye on Monaco, and yeah,
carrying a lot of speed into this last section here. Let's see if the boat gets upset at all. Looking pretty good on entry. It's got a little bit of boost left.
Yeah, a little bit of boost, a little bit of rocking there, but it's looking very smooth at this stage. So let's see whether Max Noscher is going to be able to improve on that time. 1:21.3 is definitely something you've got to improve on, and this is definitely looking better than that. Can he get under 120 across the line? Yes, just 119.7. That isn't totally safe, but it's certainly better than the one we've just seen. But remember, we are seeing the slowest go out first and the fastest come out last. You won't see the fastest, Miami, until the very last run here. So it's still not 100% for them. I'm not sure if that is going to be enough. It could be, but a bit risky.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if the flipped grid order here is going to be a problem for Miami, because when we get a lot of boats kind of passing through here, maybe that's going to turn up the water a little bit and cause some trouble for the Miami pilot. But we'll see. You know, it seems pretty flat out there, but it's not to say that it can't get turned up from all these boats going around the track here.
That was Owen Duncan, who with Monaco did that 1:19.1, and now she's seen Max there, as I say, do a 1:19.7. So we shall see. Now remember, they do get a second flying lap to do as well. So, you know, this is not absolutely done. They need to do a second flying lap to try and improve even more. But this just gives us a bit of an indication of where they are, and doing it in reverse order. It'll be Westbrook that is out next. There you are. You see Westbrook just leaving. So Westbrook were 4th fastest in the previous session. Now heading out, it was Sarah Price who set the pace earlier. It's Lucas Ordóñez who's now at the wheel. Now let's see how this goes.
You can see they're definitely trying to have a higher ride height as they approach the line right now, which you can see the boat kind of starts dancing around a little bit, but if they can maintain it and keep it stable, it's going to be much faster. So Lucas handled that pretty well, and he's coming into the first corner looking pretty good.
Okay, keeping it tidy as well, and making sure, that you're not clipping too much. But can he now keep it smooth down the back straight? That sector time looking reasonably promising, there's no doubt. That is actually a reasonably good first sector, as you can imagine. So now he's just got to keep it all together. Looking good.
Yeah, definitely a lot more stable than he was on the front straight. He's got a little boost he's probably going to apply up right here. Let's see if he gets unstable before he enters this next corner. If he can maintain it, he should be looking pretty good in this last corner.
Okay, well, let's see if this is going to be enough for Lucas Ordonez to make sure that they make it through to the next stage. Doing fine so far, and now just got to keep it tidy into the last part.
He's got a lot of boost. He's probably saving that to carry him across the finish line with some momentum. Let's see what he does with it.
Okay, well, the Spanish pilot, he's going to be enjoying his 40th birthday in just a couple of weeks' time. He goes fastest for the moment, 1:19.4, so that certainly puts him into a safe place, because there are 2 slower already than where he's gone. So that is secure already, isn't it? Effectively, he will do another lap, but that's good news.
Yeah, I think that Westbrook has been playing with their ride height a lot today, and I think the water conditions have probably made that a little bit risky, but that was good on Lucas.
Of course, Monaco and Alula will still have another chance to go quicker than what they've done. So yes, it's not complete guarantee, but it is a good effort, and it does look as though Westbrook should be in a good state. But just bear in mind that the next 3 coming up, Sierra, Drogba and Miami, have been setting very good pace. Miami in particular, the lap that they did last time in that last session, that 1:16.6, very impressive. So we are now waiting for Sierra to come out.
Yep, Sierra's making the approach here. We should have Katie Munnings in the boat. Eric had some very hot laps earlier, so see if Katie can replicate that, or if maybe she can do better.
Absolutely. So this is going to be very important to see how this goes. So over the line, just seeing how much the boat is up in the air, using those foils to good effect, and then turning in. So Katie Munnings, we are watching her all the way around. She's got a nice clear lap, of course, because you're not allowed to have other boats all out at the same time in this qualifying session. You get that clearness. It's very different when they're racing and they're behind each other, of course, because that changes the feel of the lake completely. How's this looking?
Yeah, she was a little bit wider, but I think that was just because she was carrying speed as she came around the second corner there. I did notice that on her start straight approach that she was riding a little bit lower. You could see the water kind of dragging on the belly of the boat a little bit, so that may have slowed her down a little bit, but she's looking pretty stable through here.
So far, so good. Let's see if she can keep it up. That first sector reasonable. It's sort of in the mix of what others are doing so far. And you can hear the sort of bashing a little bit. Oh, and else the spray.
That was a big one. She was definitely riding really on the top of the foils there. She was coming into that corner with speed, and as she went into the corner, she dropped it down. But it seemed like she pulled out of it pretty well, so she's looking pretty good.
Yeah, and she'd actually done a good second sector. Whether she's lost a little bit just at the end or on the third sector as a result of that, I'm not sure. She might have, as you say, got away with it, or no, she's over 120 now. So I think she has lost a bit from that, 122.8.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's not quite as encouraging.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think she kind of blew it a little bit at the end there. Just she came into that entry so fast that the boat just kind of fell off the foil at the end there, and then she had the wing a little bit too wet. But you know, the first half was super promising. So yep, right there. So if she can clean that up in this next hot lap, I think she can look pretty good and hopefully be on pace with Eric.
Very good point, yeah. And the drag you get from that dip.
Yeah, you can see here, you know, as the wing starts to get wet over the top, it kind of starts to pull the boat down. So there it is. It's getting a lot of spray over the top of the wing, and it just really messes up the entire handling of the boat when you get a little bit too far in there. So I think that was really her misstep there, but that's something that can easily be corrected. And some of that may just be a condition thing. She may have just come in a little bit too hot into some waves there, and that was that.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you're absolutely right about that. Sometimes you cannot predict it as the pilot to know how the boat's going to react in certain places. Right, Drogba heading out now. They were second fastest earlier. Michael Wilkinson did it, and Tara Pacheco is now doing it. Now, she's less experienced than many of the others competing, but she's been doing a pretty good job so far this weekend. So let's see how she deals with this when the pressure now is going to be getting on her a bit more.
Yeah, the good news is, while she doesn't have the race bird experience and the race starts, you know, she still has a water background. So the hardest thing to teach is the intuition, feeling the water, being able to predict it. So she should have that figured out. So everything from there is just having a good team to support her. And clearly, Micah's one of the fastest pilots today, so she has good support as long as they're communicating. So far she looks pretty good. That starting approach was really smooth. I think Micah was a little bit faster in the straight, but I think he was also a little bit more aggressive. So we'll see where she shakes out here, but so far so good.
Yeah, and the first sector is actually looking pretty good. And with her experience of competing in the Olympics many times as an athlete, she can deal with any pressure. It's a different world, of course, doing this, but she's done plenty of racing on water as well, through Olympic athletics and other aspects that she's done. So she's doing a great job, and so far so good.
Yeah, the approach into this corner right here was perfect. She came around the backside of that smart mark with just enough speed. She didn't stick the wing in there too hard and kept it nice and dry. So she's coming around here quite nicely. She's got plenty of boost left too, so she's probably going to carry that all the way across the finish line.
Yeah, I think she's going to be up there. She's going to be in that mix up at the top, not quite at the very top, but should be. Just loses a little bit at the end there, but yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like in her very last corner there, she looked like she snagged the foil a little bit, got the wing wet, and that definitely slowed her down. But she looked really good. So we'll see what she does in her second lap. We'll call that one a sight lap. Micah's looking like
he's a bit worried about that last corner because it was going well up until then.
Yep, he knows she's got it. So hopefully in this second lap that she's got, she'll clean it all up and put it together.
Absolutely. So hopefully that will. I think that's her own fastest lap, but obviously they need to get a bit more from her to make sure they're going to be safe. So at the moment we're still waiting for Miami to come out. Of course, it was Tim Hansen, and it's going to be Rihanna O'Meara Hunt who's going to be taking it around this time. And it was Tim who did that 116.6. Whether she's going to be able to do something like that, be interesting.
Yeah, circling back to Drogba, I think it's also important that to note that Tara had that kind of crazy start side by side with Brady, and as a new pilot, that can be kind of intimidating. I imagine she probably didn't enjoy that experience very much, so to come back and lay that lap down was pretty good.
So here we go then. Here's Miami. They set the pace in that last one, so they go last in this. And this is when we wait to see whether they can set a pace. But with the other pilot now, remember, all teams have two pilots, male pilot, female pilot, and they change from one session to another now as we move forward. And whatever they can achieve in this one, it'll be the other pilot then that will take in the final run for the top four to try and score some points for pole position. How's she looking?
Yeah, on the approach, she came off the foil for a moment. I'm not 100% sure if that was before or after the starting line, but either way, that slows you down. She did take the approach a little bit wide as well, but hard to say if that was just a matter of carrying speed. Oh, big one right there. A little bit rough in that back corner, so not off to the best start, but it's not to say that she can't salvage it at the end.
Absolutely.
Oh. There's some rollers right there. You can see the rollers coming across, so she got into those a little bit, maybe too high on the foil, but it may just be luck of the draw that she's got some rough water out here.
Still a reasonable first sector from her, so I think she's still potentially in a pretty good mix with what others are doing right now. See where she's using the boost as well when you see the green colours come up. And second, actually, she has lost a bit in the middle sector. She's lost a little bit of time there in that middle sector, as you said.
Yeah, it's hard to say if it's the water condition or if it's the way she's steering, but you can kind of tell when she's coming through the corner, the boat kind of drops down and then comes up and gets a little bit of a wheelie effect. So I think that's slowing her down a little bit, but she's still got another lap to try and figure it out.
Yeah, but that is a bit disappointing for them. They set the pace in the last one, but that one really has not come together. She has ended up slowest in this session. She has one more lap opportunity, but that just didn't come together. And yet, obviously, this electric-powered boat was going well in that previous session, so they've obviously got quite a good setup on it because it worked well for Tim.
Yeah, it's like Sarah said earlier, you can have one half of the lap be perfect and the other half just completely be a hot mess. So, it's hard to put the entire thing together, especially when you're dealing with water condition. When you're looking at a track like this, the rollers that you see on the back half of the track may also work their way to the front half of the track. So depending on where you're at, you may have to hit them twice. And that's something that can be hard to see ahead. So I think a lot of it's just going to be the water condition and figuring it out. So maybe Timmy had a little bit more luck, but I do think the boat is handling and running a lot better than it has been over the course of the last few races. So there's hope for them for sure.
Absolutely. Well, we'll see how Timmy gets on. If he gets through to the next stage, let's see if that happens, but we don't know. Right now, we're going into the second flying lap then from all of these teams, starting once again with Alula. And they are currently third fastest. So remember, you've got to be in the top four to go through to the next stage. And when you get into that next stage, there is some chance to score some points in the championship.
Yeah, let's see right here if Nerea tightens this particular corner up. She was way off of these smart marks earlier. You could fit two race birds in between her and the smart mark. So let's see if she tightens that up. she's still taking it pretty wide, but that may be a conscious decision to try and keep that speed up, keep the boat stable. So, you know, it may still pay off. I know in her previous lap, the issue was that she really lost control of the boat and the far end of the track. So if she makes that clean, then this should be a cleaner lap for her.
Yeah, it's looking reasonably good, I have to say. The first sector has worked reasonably well. It's keeping her on target at this stage. So let's keep an eye on this and just see whether she can find that little bit of extra time that would be really helpful here. Balance is looking okay, a little bit of bumpiness there.
Yeah, I think that was roughly the same spot. So my guess is maybe her corner entry and maybe a combination of the corner entry, the boost, and then also that there are some rollers at that side of the track, but she's still looking pretty good.
She is. Actually, this exit, that's looking tidy so far. And she's already used the boost quite cleverly there, so she's now having to recharge. So 1:21.07 is what she's just done there. So third fastest, 1.6 away from the fastest outright. Not completely safe yet because obviously we've got 2 behind, but the 2, well 3 behind, but if they all suddenly put in quick laps, she could be at risk, but in theory I think she's going to be safe there.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I think these last couple were probably a result more of anything than the water condition. I think we're, like Open was saying earlier, I think the water conditions right now are a result of leisure boats that are crossing the backside of the track and creating some turbulence for these guys. And I think that that's just the luck of the draw. You know, if you get a lap with no leisure boats going by, then you're going to have some cleaner water. But if a nice pleasure boat cruises by and leaves you a nice wake that you have to power through, then that's probably going to slow you down if you're not ready for it.
Absolutely. Well, we will see Monaco heading out in just a moment. Max Noscher, who did a very, very good job in that run just now to set the second fastest time in this session. Here we go. And Max is back at it once again to see whether they can keep it safe. He's really doing well. And they are trying to make sure. It's his first season in E1, but a kite surfer in the past.
Yeah, so he definitely has the water experience that's necessary. Like I said, you know, the magic that you can't teach, he should have that in the bank. So as long as he can figure out the boat and he has a great co-pilot in Oben, he should be able to get up to speed with the other pilots. So he's looking good so far. That approach was wonderful, nice and smooth, kind of in the middle ground on the ride height, but I think that that's a safe decision in these water conditions.
Oben Duncan is keeping an eye on how...
Oben looks happy. That's kind of rare, so if Oben looks happy, then they must be doing really good.
Okay, well, that's good news. They are in a good position, and to be honest, the time that he'd already done, he's not really... They're not really in any risk, I don't think, of not getting into the top 4. So whatever he does here, Max Noscher is putting it together once again very effectively. First sector, not mega, but let's just see how this goes through down the back. Using the boost more here.
Yeah, he might run out of boost before he gets to the last charge here. I think he's saving it. Yep, looks like he's going to save it and ride it out till the end.
Fair play. Well, let's see how this goes.
Got that wing a little bit too wet there.
Right. So that would have slowed him down just a little bit. But they've already done a good lap. Let's just see. Yeah, this is not going to be quite as rapid. That is a 1:21.1, but nonetheless, they are in a pretty good, safe place. Slightly slower than the previous lap they had done, but they're in good shape there. And I think we shall see Monaco probably into the next stage. We've got 4 more still to run. So you don't know you're completely safe until we start going through to the last few, and there are several there that really need to try and deliver some very, very special laps. The fact that at the moment we've got Sierra down there as well, Miami, they're both capable of better things than this, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I think with Monaco, you know, as disappointed as they may be to have not improved lap over lap, the session by session has been wonderful for them. They've really improved. I think they have the boat set up pretty well figured out, so I think they're going to be kind of a surprise this round, so hopefully things go well for them.
Katie Munnings is getting ready to go for Sierra, so they definitely need something. Westbrook, actually, yes, so Westbrook are out next, so Lucas Ordóñez is about to head out, and they've already set the pace so far, so they are in a safe condition already, because there are not enough coming after them that could push them down into that bottom two. So it's really just a question now of learning again a bit more, seeing what you can do with it.
Much better start straightaway approach for Lucas that time. He's going to be really happy with that. He carried a lot of speed coming into that first corner. He got up on the foils. You saw him get a little unstable, and he brought it back down. So that was great intuitive driving from him. And we'll see. Ooh, taking it a little tight right there. That was pretty tight on that smart mark there, but I think that tighter line is going to make him faster. So as long as he can keep the momentum moving forward and not get the wing too wet, this is looking really good.
Okay, well, let's see how this goes. That is a reasonably good first sector once again that he's done. So this actually is looking potentially as though he's going to be back up the same sort of pace that he did earlier on, that 119.4. But we have seen faster laps here today, remember, than 119. We've been down to 116 before.
Yeah, he was carrying speed really nicely on that straight. If he can just, ooh, that was a big one. He might have narrowly missed that smart mark there, but he's still carrying the momentum forward, so I think he's looking good.
Okay, absolutely. Let's see how this goes. That second sector was pretty effective. Let's see whether he's going to be back up there, similar sort of
That's
pace.
That's going to be a fast one.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Lost it a little bit at the end.
Okay, is he in the 19s again? Yes, 119.47 compared to 119.44. Well, it's consistent.
Yeah, Westbrook definitely notorious for their consistency. To be honest, if he didn't have that rodeo in that last kind of sector there, I think that probably would have been a screaming fast lap. You can tell Lucas, I think he knows he can go faster than that, but the consistency is key. They're at the top of the board right now, so they're safe.
Yeah, Sarah Price will be very happy because they have made it through this next session, and she will then be taking it into the final part, the top four, fighting it out to be fastest and score some points.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a nice sigh of relief for those two. I know they've had some technical issues in the past, so I'm sure that feels much better.
So Sierra now, Katie Munnings just about to head out.
You can see Katie kind of stretching to look over the dash. I wonder if she needs a booster seat like I did, because I definitely needed a booster seat to see out of the race bird.
I can understand that. You need the vision, don't you? Everybody, technical people always want weight as low as possible, but you need to be able to see where you're going, so that does matter, yeah.
Yeah, let's see how she's looking on the approach. You can see the nose kind of moving around a little bit, but she looks like she's keeping... Oh. Yeah, that'll slow her down a little bit.
This is an important, very important lap for Sierra, because they're down in 5th place at the moment, and they're in danger of not making it into the top 4. As Eric Stark did a good lap in the previous run, so can she put it together in this one, because her previous lap didn't quite work? Or what are you seeing on her face? What's she thinking?
I think that was just getting the wing wet. You know, that feeling of the wing dragging and kind of sticking the nose and the wing in the water. It's not necessarily violent, but it's definitely a lot different sensation than flying level. So she looked like she was a little hard on the steering, trying to tighten up her corners a little bit.
First sector was actually reasonable, so she's in with a chance of doing a decent job here. Can she get into that top 4? That's what it's all about. And of course, we will also see how the remainers go, but this is proving to be a bit of a challenge. It is bouncing a bit more in certain places.
Yeah, she's definitely pushing it on the boost. I think a lot of the instability we're seeing right now is just because she's going really fast. So she's trying to corner with a lot of speed, which can sometimes lead to those high sides that we were talking about, but it looks like she's hanging on.
She is hanging on, and she's doing a reasonable job. So let's see what the time is as she comes. Yes, she has improved very impressively up to 3rd, and that could put them into the next stage. So well done. That was impressive indeed by Katie Munnings after her opening lap in this series, in this session. Didn't quite go so well, but she put it together well in that one.
Yeah, the beauty of the qualifying format is that if you do have a lap that you're not satisfied with, the ability to go to the milling area and speak to your team while not having to drive. You can just take a moment, cool off, speak with your team, try to kind of re-rack, reset, and come out and put something better. You know, that definitely happened to me several times where I would go out and my lap wouldn't be great. I'd go in, cool off, and I could shave 2 or 3 seconds off my time just from that. So that makes a big difference.
That's exactly what she's done. Yeah, she's saved off nearly 3 seconds, I think, on that one. So that really was very impressive. Right, so okay, Katie Munnings doing a good job there. We've got Drogba out now, and Tara Pacheco is the next one. So down in 5th place at the moment. She has to make this a better lap to make sure they get into the top 4 into the next stage. So watch this closely and see just what she can do. Remember, she's not been doing so much E1 as some of the other pilots, but she is a very competitive person.
Yeah, it was really interesting. She used the boost at the original approach, and not long after she crossed the starting line, she stopped it. So now she has a lot of boost left that she's not really using, but she seems to be carrying a pretty good pace, so I'm curious to see where she's going to apply that boost.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's looking tidy so far, just trying to keep that turn without throwing it too much. And now, yeah, interestingly, now she's using boost. Okay, so that's where she's gone onto it.
Yeah, I don't know if it was intentional, but the boat wasn't quite righted when she tried to apply the boost when she came out of that corner there. She got back off of it, and then she got back on it again. So hopefully that straightens out for her. But the speed of the boat looks really good, and out of all of the boats today, they seem to be the highest up on the foil and still keeping the stability.
Yeah, reasonable. I'm not sure this is going to be enough, though. Just looking at the sector times at the moment, I think she's at a bit of risk that they may not quite make it in there. It's all looking a little bit tight, but Drogba want to get into that top 4. I'm not sure I don't think this is going to be enough, because as she comes across the line, it's a 1:24.6, and that means they are not going to be going into the top part of qualifying to score those points, sadly.
Yeah, the biggest thing I noticed between her and Maika was that, the first almost half of the track she stayed off of the boost. It really limited boost usage. Most of the other teams are using the boost a little bit all over the track, so I don't know if they had an issue with the boost, or if that was a decision change, or if it's just the matter of being a newer pilot and having to deal with the boost. So hopefully they can rally for tomorrow, but I think at the end that was a lack of boost that slowed her down a little bit.
Absolutely. So for Michael Wilkinson, that's a bit of a downer after he'd done a very good lap earlier on. But you've just got to learn, and Tara, I'm sure, will take a lot from it and just find out more. Now, Team Miami. Miami are about to come out, and they, with Timmy Hansen, they set the pace in the previous one. But Rihanna O'Meara Hunt, who is now about to take this out, this is a crucial one for her, because she's really got to deliver. Her first flying lap in this session did not come well. You can see it down in 6th place at the moment, but we know that this boat has been working well around this lap.
Yeah, it's hard to say if she struggled in the last session because of driving, or if it was a matter of the water conditions, because it's been increasingly difficult for us to tell, what the water conditions are doing, but we'll see what she can do.
She's gone for that nice wide approach to get the speed across the start line. And here we go. Trying to keep it as smooth as possible. It's looking good so far. But into the first section, let's see how that looks.
Yeah, it seems like the boat's a little bit lower than when Timmy was driving it, so you can see quite a bit of drag right there. The belly of the boat's getting very wet, which slows it down, but that's still better than the violent slam that, performs like hitting the brakes. So, better to do that than to drop off the foil fully, but we'll see.
Bit of a knock there, and that first sector, it's sort of in the mix. I'm not sure it's quite quick enough for the sort of lap she needs. Let's see, we can't tell until she continues down this long section. Just that little kink right deals with that okay, but then this section can often lead you into some bumpy work, but now into the all-important final section.
Yeah, it was hard to see if at the top of the opposite side of the track, if she fell off the foil. From the inside of the cockpit, it looked like she did. You can kind of tell the boat's kind of dipping between the waves, and when that happens, the belly of the boat's getting really wet. Right here, you can see it touching right there. So that really slows the boat down substantially. But this does look better than the lap that she put out earlier.
I think it's better than what she did, but is it actually going to be enough to get down out of that 6th place? Let's see. Oh, she goes 5th, but it's not enough to get into the top 4 in the end. It was a better lap than she had done earlier, but Miami have not made it through. So having set the fastest pace in the previous qualifying session, in this one, Miami are out for the final part.
Yeah, that's kind of the interesting bit about our new qualifying format, is the knockout aspect of it.
And look how close. It's only 400ths of a second as well from what Alula had done. 1.635 off the fastest pace, and they went to 1.675. God, that's always so difficult when you've been competing and you just see that tiny difference.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've noticed historically with E1 is so long as the boats are technically sound, the times can be really tight.
So this is TV and talking to Lucas, and well done. A very impressive run to set that fastest pace.
Yes, happy with that. It's been the whole weekend I was struggling to put a lap. I'm still struggling to put a full lap, but yeah, that 19 put us in P1, so we go through to Q4. Sarah is flying this weekend, so yeah, let's do it in Q4. But so far so good. Westbrook Racing is doing a great job this weekend. This is our place, so yeah, hopefully we keep like this this afternoon and tomorrow, which is where it counts. So yeah, thank you guys. Happy.
Wonderful, really good stuff. And the Spanish pilot there who puts him down as perseverant, generous and sociable. He's a friendly chap, and he is very happy with what they've done so far. But of course, when we get into the final stage, you've got to do it all again with our top 4 from this session going into the final stage, swapping once again with the pilots, and then you've got to try and be fastest in that to get the 3 points for pole position.
Yeah, Lucas is an interesting case. You know, he is a wonderful guy, very quiet, mostly soft-spoken, very kind, but if you provoke him, he will retaliate on the racetrack. We've seen some pretty incredible battles between him and Sam Coleman, for example. You know, so you got to watch out for Lucas because he may be a little soft sometimes, but if you poke that bear, he will bite.
Okay, well, that's good to know. You have competed against all of these in the past, and you know them very, very well. When here at this wonderful layout that we have in northern Italy, it's proving to be as challenging, always challenging, even though, as I say, it's the only lake course of the year in the championship this year. But it's great now to see Monaco have made it through, of course, and Open Duncan Shield take over for that final chance to try and set the outright pace. And of course, what we will be celebrating is the opportunity to take pole position. That's the inside line, effectively going to the start line in the races tomorrow. But just bear in mind, although you get points and you get the pole position, once you start to get into racing, it's another world altogether when all of the boats are out there together competing with each other. But today is about just being fastest on your own. That's what today's all about.
Yeah, quality, you know, if your times aren't going well, that's not necessarily a reflection of how you're going to do the next day. Sometimes slow is fast, and when you get a bunch of race birds out on the racetrack, a lot of it is going to come down to experience and driver ability. So, you know, somebody may have a really bad quality day, but still come out and win it tomorrow.
Well, it's certainly something to look forward to, and we've got more action coming up. But
yep.
Impressive work.
A little bit of eavesdropping there yields that we were on the right track there. Katie's complaining that the chop was dragging the boat down. That's what we were talking about earlier. The belly of the boat being a little bit too close to the water and those waves reaching up and grabbing it. So sounds like they're getting it sorted out.
Here we go.
So a very impressive time that was. Open Duncan with Monaco. She did a great job too. She's speaking to Taylor.
Open Duncan, we saw you down here on the radios talking your teammate Max through that lap right there, and Team Monaco has made it to the next qualifying session. What is that like for you, being driver and then stepping out and having that other part?
Yeah, it's amazing because I understand exactly what Max is going through. I can talk him through the lap, and I think that really helps us both. Means we can get into Q4, which is amazing. We didn't have a great start to the day, so we're really, really pleased to be where we are now.
And you're watching water conditions as well, not just him. You can also kind of see other strategies. Does that all come into play? Do you communicate water as well, or does he feel it differently?
Yeah, absolutely. There's half of the track that he can't see when he's waiting in the milling area, so we try and encourage as much as we can, but we only have 15 seconds to leave, so the time's pretty bare.
Thank you.
Well, I'm pleased for them. They've done a really good job, and they will be therefore competing to see if they can get the 3 points for pole position and build the confidence going into tomorrow. It always does give you confidence, of course, when you've got that pace through qualifying going into the following day's race. But as we know, the lake can always change a little bit. You can always get a rather different surface, different feel when you're out in the boat on a different day. But nonetheless, they're doing a great job, and we will take a look at that. Let's take a look at the results in this session then, and confirm that the top 4 that will be going through are Westbrook, Monaco, Sierra and Alula. Those are the 4 teams that will be competing for the points for pole position. Eliminated teams, 2 teams that have actually been very quick throughout the course of the day, but it didn't quite work out for them in that session. So we have lost Miami and Drogba from that session, and they will not be in the final part of qualifying. But nonetheless, it's been close, 119.4 to 121.6 at the end. So it's going to be a very, very interesting time, but well, we've seen other interesting times. The top team leading the championship coming into this event, Aoki, they failed to get through at all. Well, Taylor caught up earlier with Danny Kloss.
Danny, this is not the way you wanted to start your qualifying day. Unfortunately, Aoki Racing Team has been eliminated. How does that feel like to be the #1 leader right now and your day to end early?
Yeah, as you said, it's not the best that we can get. It was tough. In our session, there was a lot of weird waves, and I thought I was doing a good run or a good lap, but in the last sector, they caught me and I couldn't do much. These things happened. Tomorrow's another day. Racing is our thing. We're gonna fight. Not in the best position, but you know, and we've seen everything is possible.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So we see. See you guys.
Well, we're looking forward to the final stage of qualifying coming up in just a moment, as we are celebrating all the fun and games that are building up in the UIM E1 World Championship presented by PIF, and the 4 teams that have actually made it through to this final stage: Westbrook, Monaco, Sierra and Alula. They are now all preparing for this vital last part. They will have 20 minutes in which they can, once again, only have 2 flying laps. So you just get 2 laps. They have to be separate laps. You can't do one straight after another. And you can't have an aborted lap. That does not count as one you can just cancel and go back out again. So this is what really counts. And for getting pole position, you will score 3 points. 2 points if you're second fastest, 1 point for third fastest, and whichever team is fourth fastest will not score today, but they'll still be happy to have got into this stage, I think.
Yeah, this will also be one of the first times the weekend where we see the pilot strategy come into play here. So, you know, they chose their starting pilot earlier, and now they're back with that starting pilot now. So if they gambled on the faster pilot of the 2, then this may help pay off for their qualifying position today. But if for some reason the pilots in this last one is struggling, that might be a little bit different.
Right, so yes, we're looking forward to this. It will be an interesting time, no doubt about it. It's going to be good fun to see. And the team owners chat been going on. Thibaut Courtois, Tom Brady, some very, very famous people that are team owners of E1. Will Smith, Rafael Nadal. And Anna, you've raced in this series for a while, and you've met some of these team owners, very famous people. Must be great to be involved in all of that.
Yeah, most of these guys are super into it. I have a fun story about meeting Tom Brady. I actually was approaching the launch zone, getting ready to head out, and I stepped on someone's toes. And as I looked up, the sun was blocked, and I've never seen someone so tall in my life, and it was Tom Brady. So my first time meeting him was actually stepping on his toes. But most of these guys are very into it, and they have kind of like a fun rivalry going on. There's a couple of them that are super serious, but at the end of the day, they're super into it, so it's nice to see them involved.
Absolutely. Some of them are absolute superb athletes, others are great artists or musicians in all sorts of ways. But let's have a look at the start list then. Sierra, Alula, Westbrook and Monaco are the 4 teams, and it's going to be Sarah Price, Oban Duncan, Eric Stark and Rusty Wyatt that will be competing for the various teams that are out here today. And of course other pilots will be watching to hope that they get the points. But we'll go with from 4th to 1st from that previous session. So it is Alula that will be setting the pace. Rusty Wyatt back out for Alula. Let's see how this goes.
Yeah, I think maybe with the exception of Westbrook, I think all of these pilots are the faster of their teams. So that could make things pretty interesting here. I think Sarah and Lucas were pretty tight, but everybody else, I believe, was the faster pilot. So the water conditions seem to be a little smoother. Let's see what these guys can do.
Funny thing is that the fastest times that have been set today generally have been done by 2 teams that are not in this last 4. So Drogba did a 1:16.0 earlier on today, and Miami did a 1:16.6 recently, but neither of them have made the top 4 because you've got to make it all work at the right times. So we're looking all over again. Getting under 1:20 is important. If you can get down into the 1:17s, 1:16s, then that's really special.
Yeah, that's the interesting dynamic about the co-pilot situation is, like we saw earlier, we had 2 teams that had flying laps from one set of pilots, and then later the second pilot struggled. So pretty much at any time, the leaderboard can be flipped on its head. So anything can happen when the pilots are climbing in the racebird.
Well, let's see how Rusty Wyatt's getting on with this then. The boat's looking pretty smooth down that back section. Oh, I always say these at the wrong time, and the commentator curse there because he got a bounce right then.
Yeah, he's still got some boost left in the tank here, so that may be enough to make up for that. Looks like he's kind of applying it gingerly. There's probably some strategy there. Let's see if he rides out that boost till the end.
Okay, let's see him coming out of this last corner. Can he get it under the 1:20? No. That's kind of where you need to be getting. So it's actually not a great lap, but as you say, it's maybe getting a bit more movement on the lake as we go into this session now. So that time of 1:23.8, I wouldn't think that that is going to be near enough, but you never quite know until the others are out there at the same time.
Yeah, he still has another opportunity with his second hot lap. You can see when we hit the crane cam, when the the position is really high in the air. You can kind of see the water conditions a little bit. Lake Como is very unique, where we have these big rollers that are cutting sideways across the track here, and that's what these guys are struggling with. So if we cut back to the crane camera, I'll bring that up again, but I think that's the biggest obstacle right now.
Well, the Canadian's done his first lap. There will be another lap later on to go, so try and learn from that first lap, Rusty, and then do an even better second time round. It'll be Sierra coming next. The Sierra group all ready to go for this one, and it's going to be Eric Stark who is taking it off this time, the 38-year-old Swedish pilot. He's had loads of experience in powerboating throughout his life. He's in his third season of this form of E1 electric powered, and we shall see if this is going to be one that suits him.
So this is the shot I was talking about right here. You can see the waves running parallel to the start straight right now, and that is what they've really been struggling with. So earlier we heard Katie kind of complaining to Eric that the waves were snagging the bottom of the boat and creating a lot of drag. So we'll see if Eric raises his ride height to combat that, but it looks like he's still driving pretty low.
Okay, so at the moment it's looking like a reasonably smooth run, and remember, the fastest so far in the 123s. You would think that there's going to be more pace to be found around this lap, and coming around towards the end of the first sector, let's just get a little bit of a picture on where 32 point, that's okay, but it's still, we are definitely seeing slightly slower pace at the moment from all of them than we saw earlier. How's this looking now? He's
definitely a little bit lower.
Yeah.
See, that right there is what Katie was talking about earlier. These waves, I think, have just a big enough gap that the boats are kind of falling down into them, and that's the danger of the rough water. Is you want to be high enough that the bottom of the boat is not creating too much drag, but you can't get so high that it's going to fall down. So looks like Eric's kind of riding on the edge there, but he's not looking too bad.
The second sector's better, so let's see where this puts him. Can he get under the 120? There is a possibility to do that if you get through this final section in a smooth way. There's a little bit of rocking around, but no, it's still over 120, as you can see. So 122.6. So actually, he's gone faster, but it's still, it does seem as though the bumpiness out there's harder at the moment. We are not getting the lap times we had earlier, but it may just be purely down to the condition that the lake is in at the moment.
Yeah, it seems like drag is a pretty serious contributing factor today. I think I heard Katie talking about it earlier. It's clear that Eric was having the same problem. So at that far side of the track where we saw Eric kind of bouncing a little bit on the approach to the finish there, that's coming into the backside of those waves. So the nose is kind of dropping down on the backside of the lake and then coming up as they come up into the next wave. So that's where we're seeing that little rodeo effect there.
So our next one coming out will be Monaco, and it's going to be the youngest pilot currently in this competition, because it's Oban Duncan at 20 years old, and the British competitor, racing on water since she was 8 years old, and been racing in E1 for a couple of years now. So let's see. She's had podiums in the past, and we shall see whether this lap is really going to come together for Monaco, setting it off, getting that line and just floating it up onto the foil, and then hoping you can keep it balanced. She's got the boost going, and just try and get it down into that first section.
Yeah, I don't want to jinx these guys, but out of the boats we've seen today, their boat really seems stable. You know, rather than rocking back and forth on the wings like some of these other boats, it's stayed very good. And, you know, that could be some of the ballast weight that these teams are allowed to play with a little bit. There's not a ton of wiggle room on that, but getting the weight placement just right is going to make for a balanced boat, and that can be a huge game changer.
A little bit of a bounce there, as you say, but it is a smooth one, this, I do think, and that's a reasonable first sector she's done. Actually, fraction faster than what we have seen so far in this particular session. And Oban Duncan's definitely got some confidence, as you say, with this boat. The Monaco boat's working well, I think, at this stage, and there's an opportunity here for her to just keep it all together and try and get under that 1:20.
Yeah, I think they've nailed their ride height. You know, they're high enough that they're not kissing the water too much when they don't want to be, but they're not so low that they're dragging. So I think she's in a really good position here.
She is. I think this is going to be a good lap. Let's see where she can put this. Remember, the fastest we've seen today is down in the 116s. I doubt we're going to go that quick in this final part of
Very
qualifying.
rough right there. That slowed her down quite a bit.
But she may well still be able to set the pace. Yes, 1:20.3. So that has put her fastest first of the 2 laps that they get to do. So they have to do one lap, then bring it around, slowly wait, and then go out for a second flying lap. We've got one more team to set their first lap, Westbrook coming out, but that's a very good effort by Open Duncan.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, you know, the finish line side of the track has a lot of rollers on it right now, so the boats are coming into the backside of those waves, and you can kind of see as they bob up and down between those gaps, and that really slowed Open down there. So if she goes out for a second hot lap and doesn't have that problem, we could see her go a lot faster.
Well, let's see how this all comes together for them. Monaco are doing a really good job so far, but it's all got to work throughout. It is a new team in E1, and as you can see, they are fastest at the moment, 1:20.3. Sierra second fastest, 2.3 seconds behind, but we have still got Westbrook to go. And there we are on board. You're on board with Sarah Price now, as we are ready for Westbrook to set the pace. Let's see what they can do now, because Lucas Ordóñez did a really great job handing it back over to Sarah, and now this is another boat that does seem to float beautifully.
Yeah, they seem to be figuring out their ride. I say that right as she falls down a little bit. But she wasn't so high that it really hit the brakes. So it's all about momentum with these boats, you know. Keeping the boat from completely slamming down into the water is going to be what makes or breaks you on your lap. So that little bit of a lower ride height can sometimes be the sweet spot.
Okay, so
you can see here the nose of the boat is bouncing around quite a bit more. So I think we had like a nice lull in the middle of the day, and now we're back to some rough water.
We are, yes. It's a reasonable sector that she's just done there. That's she's definitely right on the pace with what we've seen so far. But as we know, we've got this slightly more bumpy sections, particularly coming into the last part here. And the steering angle, I'm looking at the technology we get on here, the steering angle and the way you turn, Anna, into some of these. Is it turn quickly or ease it in a bit more gradually?
So a lot of that depends on the line. So, you know, you'll see pilots like Tom Schiap who are very aggressive on the steering wheel. You'll see him, you know, turn the steering wheel very quickly, very violently, and then bring it back to center. And then there's other pilots, like we were seeing Norea Marti earlier, take a much smoother line where, you know, the steering's not quite as aggressive. And, you know, sometimes you just have to experiment and see what's faster.
This is pretty good. Let's see. Yes, that is a good effort. Not quite fastest, but popping up into second. So that is a very good battle, as you can see, between Monaco and Westbrook, because they are very close to the times and they both have one more rapid lap to go. So it could really come down to the very last run here.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing here is just them navigating the water conditions. So I think some of those hot laps that we were seeing earlier were just folks that got lucky with the timing. And then we've seen some other people that have just had terrible luck. So, yeah, it's going to come down to the final few laps here. And, you know, who knows? Maybe somebody will pull a Hail Mary out of the bag.
Absolutely. It is fascinating, I think, watching this, as you say, because the way that the conditions change a little bit and therefore the times change so much. But it really is very, very interesting to watch.
Yeah, it can be quite difficult, too, because you go out there with a plan of what the perfect lap looks like. But, you know, if the water's changing in front of you and you're running the setting for the perfect lap and the water condition is not perfect, that can really throw you for a loop. So some of it comes down to intuition as well. And we've seen a lot of our watercraft background athletes really have success with that. And sometimes our car counterparts take a little bit longer, but they also get up to speed.
Well, let's see how Alula get on now then, as we are seeing them back out with Rusty Wyatt, and Rusty didn't really quite get it together on that first lap, so let's see whether they can get a bit more balance this time.
Yeah, Rusty's one of those pilots that can definitely throw a Hail Mary at the end here, and as they say, it's not over till the fat lady sings, and I think Rusty can definitely pull it out of the bag. He's looking pretty good. That start line approach was really smooth, so we'll see what he can get into here.
Yeah, that is a good first sector, only just over 30 seconds, so actually that is potentially, it's going to put him back up towards where Monaco and Westbrook are here, if he can keep it going. It's all very well saying that in the first sector. It can all completely change in sectors 2 and 3.
Yeah, this is really where we've seen some other pilots blow it today, so this section of the track is a lot rougher than I think it was earlier, so nope, he did that approach perfectly. It's still looking nice and smooth. Looks like he's taking this a little bit wider, which is, I personally think, is a smart move. So let's see if he carries this boost all the way around the last corner here, but It's looking pretty good, Ben.
It is looking good, but it wasn't a mega second sector, but the first one was good. So let's just see, as the clock is ticking away, it may well just bring him up a little. Yes, it does.
There it is.
Oh, that's great. 1:18.6. Excellent. They've gone fastest. Potentially, they could be taking that pole position. That was an excellent second run, and you were absolutely right, Anna. He changed just the line in a couple of places, did it really well.
Yeah, I think it was a combination of things. It's possible that the far side of the track was a little bit smoother, but Rusty definitely opened up the line, got away from the smart mark a little bit, and things were a lot smoother for him. He was able to carry the speed, not be bouncing so much like some of these other teams, and he nailed it.
Nerea Marti, very happy.
Perfect, let's go!
Attaboy.
Yeah, they have done it really well there. So now we've got everybody else, of course. That's the new time to beat, as you can see on the screen, a 1:18.667, and Rusty Wyatt has set the pace, potentially to score 3 points for getting pole, but we've got all 3 other teams still to go.
Yeah, ironically, earlier today, Rusty asked me if I'd give him a shout out on the broadcast, and I told him I'd only do it if he went fast today. So, you know, maybe it's me. I don't know.
Well, it's a great opportunity, and Rusty's done a great job. So let's see. With Sierra out now, Eric Stark is now going to have to try and do the same thing, even better. Down in 4th place at the moment. You don't get any points at all if you end up 4th in this one.
His ride height's looking okay. You know, he looked up. That was not great. That was probably the result of a roller just at speed, just getting to him. But he rode it out, so it wasn't a complete slam. Let's see the angle that he takes around this corner here with these rollers coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. That wasn't ideal, but as you say, hasn't lost all of it, and now the exit's actually looking reasonably smooth.
Yeah, his exits have been really nice. He's not boxing those corners off too hard. He takes a nice sweeping corner around it, keeping the boat nice and stable.
It's okay, but he's about a second off on that first sector from the absolute 1:18.6 that's been set by Alula, by Rusty Wyatt, so I'm not sure it's going to be quite enough.
It's just the boat's really low in the water. I think he's just got a little too much drag going on right now. Rusty did a good job of keeping the boat just barely above the water, and Eric looks like he's got a little bit of drag going on here.
Yeah, middle sector okay, but it's not great. I'm not sure they're going to be certainly not battling for the top spot. Whether they can get themselves out of the bottom spot, well, that's another question. Let's see. We'll find out as he comes out of the last part. And Eric Stark with Sierra crossing the line. It's a 1:22.4, and unfortunately that means they are 4th. No points scored in this, but nonetheless they've made it into the top 4 in qualifying, so that's a help, but they haven't managed to get any points from this.
Yeah, like Katie was saying earlier, I think that their ride height was just a little bit too low, and the belly of the boat's kind of dragging in the water a little bit, and you'd be surprised how much that slows the boat down, especially if it's in the water for too long. So unfortunately, I think that was their mistake. Rusty was just carrying a lot more speed in multiple places on the track, and he made it happen. I will say, between these two, they battle a lot in F1 powerboating, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot of smack talk on the dock when these guys get back.
I can understand that. Right, Team Monaco, and it's Oban Duncan once again to see what she can do. Currently 2nd fastest, a little bit off what was done earlier on, but let's see, because I think they have the potential. She's had some very good pace. And Monaco en route.
She started the boost pretty early there, so we'll see. You know, looking at her last lap last time, she had a rodeo finish, so if she can clean that up, she might find the time needed to get past Rusty.
Yeah, that's the target, but there's a little bit of a dip there, not at an ideal place.
Yeah, she recovered okay. I would say when, you know, the boat drops once or twice, you can recover. If you get into 3 or 4, then you're losing a ton of time. So she recovered pretty well there, and you know, hopefully she can make that up somewhere else.
There's definitely more movement around on the lake at that point, just there. I don't know whether she was just a little unlucky, but it doesn't look to me as though it's quite as smooth as it was earlier. There's a lot more bumpiness going on, and it might be a bit of a challenge to try and set a better pace. There's no doubt about it, but still, remember, it could still be on for a good result here anyway and get some points out of this.
Yeah, it's hard to say, especially with the E1 powerboats. You know, there's so many variables going on. We have the water changing, but then the teams have so much control over the ride settings throughout the lap. So, you know, it may not be the water. It could be that they asked her to run a different setting to see what happened, and that could be what we're seeing here right now. But it does look pretty rough out there.
It does look pretty rough, and actually she's done a pretty good middle sector, but I'm not sure.
This is where she messed up last time. Looking better.
Yeah, looking better. So let's just see, can she improve on the time? 120.3 was her previous best. It's going to be similar again, I think. Oh, no, it's a 120.8.
That was tight.
Tight, as you say. It was close, but still second fastest to what Alula have achieved. So we've only got Westbrook to go now. The last run in qualifying here to see who is going to get pole. It's still a good job because that is Q2, and they'll be in a great place for the start of the first race tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm hoping I'm not jinxing them right now, but, you know, Team Monaco started out today with the risk of being knocked out in the very first round, and now here they are. So I think it's a testament to the team kind of analyzing their situation and improving, and if that's how quickly they've improved, then, you know, maybe they'll be one to watch tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, they could be pushed down to third in this final run, but remember, 118.6 is the fastest time to try and beat Westbrook. Currently third, they could go up to either second or first, and of course that would push Monaco down from second to third, but it's still a good place to be in, and they will get at least a point. You get 1 point for being third fastest, 2 points second fastest, and 3 points for the pole position. Right, here we go then. This is where it all comes together. Can Westbrook now steal that from Alula, or is it going to stay the same?
Much lower ride height from Price right now. Earlier she was pretty aggressive on the foil. She's pretty low right now, kind of going up and down a little bit. See if that pays off.
This is it, the final battle for these key 3 points in the championship to see who is going to end up with the pole position. And Sarah Price is putting it together, trying to keep it as tidy as possible as she goes down to the end and turns. And that's actually looking pretty good, using the boost just a bit as she now, presumably, she'll use it a touch. Yes, coming down the back straight. That first sector is actually looking reasonable. So let's see how the rest of it goes.
Yeah, she's looking super level. That's really the trickiest part. Not get the nose too high in the air or too low in the air. And that's usually right where you want to be.
Okay, well, she is doing a good job so far, and there is that chance potentially, but you've got to get right down from where she was before. Is she going to grab it second, or is she really going to be able to challenge for that pole?
Really waiting on her boost. She has not applied the boost this entire sector. I'm not sure if she has a problem. There it is, finally hitting the boost. Hopefully that doesn't hurt her time. There were a lot of opportunities there where she could have used the boost.
She's in good shape.
Looking good.
Oh, it's a bit of a rock there, but this is looking pretty good. Is it going to be enough? 118.9. Oh, goes second fastest and so close. She lost a bit at the end, losing out by only 0.2 of a second.
Man, I hope it wasn't that lack of boost. She had a lot of boost left over at the end there. That could have been that second that she's missing.
It is Alula that have taken the pole position. Well done to Alula with Rusty Wyatt and Nelea Marti. They have taken the 3 points, the pole position. They'll be in the perfect place for the start of the race tomorrow. Westbrook did a good job there as well, though. Sarah Price getting up into second place. They'll score 2 points for that. And third place going to Monaco for Owen Duncan. That was a really interesting time, challenging to get it just right, always is.
Yeah, like I said earlier, you know, we had some people that we expected to do really well today, and I mentioned earlier that Team Alula were kind of like the silent killers here, and sure enough, they proved that today. They were quiet most of the day, and here they are at the top.
Yeah, very, very impressed that Alula have done this. But Westbrook also, they'll be pretty happy with that. You can see them sitting along, the team sitting alongside each other in that area where they're in communication with their pilots. But many congratulations. Very effective.
I know Westbrook had some technical challenges last season, so to have a moment like this is always very encouraging, because then you know it's not you in the driver's seat that's the problem. So clearly their team's been working very hard.
And Alula have never had a win so far. They've had podiums in the past, but is this going to be a weekend where we could possibly see them take a victory in E1? Well, we shall find out as we go through, of course, and there's a lot of racing to do tomorrow. And pole position, while it's an advantage, it's not like racing on a circuit where pole will be well ahead, but it is a real chance to have a chat right now. Rusty, this is TV. Well done. Many congratulations. Fabulous job. How was it for you?
Yeah, it was amazing. We definitely didn't have the first lap we wanted. We were bouncing around a little bit, got a bit of a couple ongoing rollers, but man, really turned it around for the second lap. Felt super good. Super happy. Team Alula, champion by LeBron James here. P1 to start the weekend.
Congratulations. Well done. Really good stuff. And they will be starting from pole position tomorrow. Anna, when we get into the racing, they will have that inner line, won't they, in pole position. Everyone else will be alongside them, but it's then choosing when to get going and go across the line. It's all part and parcel of it. Right, we've got another chance to have a chat as well, so let's do that. Sarah, TV, talking to you now. Well done, many congratulations. Good second spot for the first race tomorrow.
Thank you. It was a little bit different, the conditions out there right now, so I think the pace is a little bit slower and a little bit more trickier to keep the boat off the water, but I'm super pumped. This is a good position. We feel great as a team and our speed's there, so I think we're confidence is high. We're happy over here.
Well done, and a very useful 2 points for Westbrook as well. So that is great, and it will mean they're in a strong position. But I'm really looking forward to the racing tomorrow, because we've got some teams that have qualified well and other teams that have been a bit of a challenge when they're normally right near the front. So we shall see. That could all change tomorrow. It'll all be coming into the competition, so lots to look forward to and plenty of people to discuss how it went today. Let's go down and hear from Taylor.
And what a shootout that was. I'm down here with teammates Neria. Rusty really pulled it off. I know he was the slowest going into that race, but he didn't look slow out there today.
Yeah, really happy. We're in P1. The first lap was a bit slow, so we were super stressed, but at the end, he did a mega lap on the last lap. So excited and happy because I'm the first pole when I'm in the team, so just happy and excited.
That was an excellent run out there. And Lucas, Sarah really fought. It was so close to the end. What does that feel like when you guys are almost right there?
Nah, it's great. It's great to be back like in Jeddah. We're strong in qualifying. We proved that in Jeddah as well. And yeah, Sarah was flying the whole weekend. So proud of her, proud of our team. You know, it's very, very difficult to be up there in every session. So yeah, well done. It was very close. And congrats to Alula team. They've been really amazing in the last session. So yeah, let's fight tomorrow. Tomorrow is when it counts, and but yeah, at least we got 2 points. So yeah, it's good for the championship.
I was gonna say, we'll fight it out tomorrow. You guys are being pretty sweet to each other. All this sweetness will end tomorrow, right? With you two taking the wheel.
Spanish fight. Spanish fight.
Maybe we do agree with all the Spanish.
But yeah. No, yeah, excited for tomorrow. You never know in E1 series. Every hit is a big challenge, so anything can happen, as you know. And yeah, we will fight for it.
Thank you, Lucas and Nuria.
Thank you.
Well, so much to look forward to tomorrow, and they have done a really, really impressive job with it today to achieve that pole position. We'll give them that inside line. And of course, in fact, we've got separate races at the beginning of tomorrow, because we'll have 5 teams competing against each other, and then another 5 teams competing against each other. So effectively, Westbrook and Monaco will both start on that inside line for the first race, and then try and develop the racing as much. So let's have a little look at the results of this qualifying. Alula taking that pole spot, Westbrook second. So it's actually, they will be, starting from the inside. Monaco and Sierra will be well up as well in their positions, so they will have the chance to also deliver. But when you get into the racing, it is a different story. They won't be miles ahead of anybody else. It's all of them. They'll just be in a slightly on the inside, heading down towards the first corner. They will have that, but it'll be interesting to see how they go. But Alula have done a great job today, and Rusty Wyatt taking that top spot, not by a huge margin in the end, but it was still enough to beat Westbrook, and Sarah Price finishing in that second fastest spot, with Monaco third and Sierra doing a great job in fourth. So lots and lots to look forward to in the racing tomorrow, which will be different, Anna, because when we get into the racing and you're right behind another boat, suddenly that completely changes the balance, the feel you have in your boat.
Yeah, qualifying is a bit of a treat because a lot of times you're completely by yourself on the track. So tomorrow, you know, quali kind of gets thrown out of the door. As much as pole position is a blessing, it can also be a curse because you have to still fight to get to that first turn first. So if you're on the pole position and you don't get a very good start, that pole position becomes irrelevant. And everything rides on getting that clean water. So I've seen it myself, brand new pilots that maybe aren't as competitive, maybe aren't as fast. If they get out in that front water, good luck catching them.
Absolutely, but it has put on a great display today in these good conditions. But as you said, the conditions can vary just for a few minutes. You can get a completely different performance, and sometimes that hurts. But they've all done extremely well. And although there have been one or two technical problems earlier in the day, and we do know that one or two of the teams, for example, Brady and Aoki, that have done so well at Jeddah, they haven't qualified well today. But as you were saying to me earlier, it doesn't mean that they can't race well tomorrow because they can make some changes if necessary.
Yeah, and don't forget about Team Blue Rising. You know, John Peters is consistently one of the fastest starters out of the entire field. I'm pretty sure they call him the whole shot king here. If he comes back with an operating boat tomorrow, he could turn this entire thing upside down. So hopefully those teams that were struggling with some technical issues will come back tomorrow and make things more interesting. So what's to say that some of those teams that were struggling today weren't going to be the pole position sitters today if they didn't have those problems?
Absolutely, no, it's a good point. The 3 points that Alula have taken for grabbing that pole position will have put them on to 27 points, makes them a little bit closer to Brady, who are on 33 points at the moment. So yes, it's all interesting, and for Westbrook as well, it's been important for them to get a good result from this qualifying because they are up in that top 4 in the championship points at the moment. So well done to Alula, to both the pilots and to the whole team, and very, very impressive. And also to Westbrook as well, because they are very pleased with the performance throughout the day, and it's going to make for some good racing tomorrow for Sarah Price and Lucas Ordóñez. There's Lucas just keeping an eye on it all and looking very, very relaxed and very happy.
Yeah, like I said earlier, Westbrook is probably the most consistent team on the grid. So, you know, if they get a good pole position and they have a clean run, they're going to be hard to beat.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all going to be part and parcel of the competition here. There's no doubt about it. It's going to be a fascinating time once we get into it. And this team, they secured their first ever podium in Jeddah at the opening race of their second season. So we shall see how that goes. Right, let's go back down to Taylor.
Rusty Wyatt, when we were speaking before this round, I said, we're going from slowest to fastest. And you said, don't call me like that.
Yeah.
You showed me. You pulled that fast lap. Where did that come from?
Yeah, you never want to be called slow. And we were kind of in that area. So now we had to pull it together. We were actually quite slow on the first lap, but did a couple changes and pulled it together. Had a great second lap. And P1, very happy on the day. Nerea is stud as well. And we just kind of grouped together and pulled the P1 off. We got a big day tomorrow, but great start.
How does the water feel? Obviously, there's a lot of pleasure boats out there. It's been changing pretty much from morning till later today. Does that make a difference, or does your powerboat experience come into play here?
Yeah, no, definitely a huge difference. The first lap, I definitely caught a couple of big waves that sent the boat into the ways we don't want it to go. So it is a lot busier this afternoon than it was this morning, but I think we caught ourselves a good lap with the proper setup to get over the rougher water. So very happy. P1 for the whole team of Alula. We got a big day tomorrow.
Congrats, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, superb work done by them, and they are very much looking forward to tomorrow. You might only get a few points on qualifying day, but there are plenty of points on offer on race day, of course. You get 38 points for a victory. And many thank you. Thank you to you, Anna, as well. We're looking forward to some great racing tomorrow. Lots to think about.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. I think it's going to be a little bit busier tomorrow on the weekend, so I think we're going to have good conditions out there.
Join us then.